Alright guys, hello. Let me get the Discord unmuted.
Good.
Hi everyone, say hello. I have the Discord chat here.
Hello.
And we're gonna
did everyone get to hear that?
Yeah, everyone is listening right now. So
lovely.
we're gonna
Do we turn green when we talk? Oh yeah, we do.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, it looks so pro.
I know, right? It's pretty pro. So yeah, we're just gonna
Your stream has been muted, apparently.
my stream has been muted.
It said your stream has been muted for
Copyright,
left
yeah.
content.
Well, the song's over, so it should be fine now. And okay, so we've all seen the movie The Force Awakens, and we're gonna talk about it, go through everything, the nitty gritty. It's gonna be like a 5-hour-long thing.
This whole thing was the debate.
No,
Still
it's
a
hype.
Jedi.
It's hype.
It's been conned.
It's hype. This is awesome.
Wait, we're not talking about a Phantom Menace? Guys?
Oh,
What?
shoot. I guess.
Yeah,
I thought we were
Studying-
talking about the Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Maybe next time.
No, we
Maybe
shouldn't.
next time we can watch it together and then
Ooh.
Oh.
and then talk about it.
That's interesting.
But yeah, anyway, we've all seen the movie. I've seen it twice. Has anyone
I haven't,
seen it
actually.
twice?
You haven't.
Nah.
Yes, he has. He's lying. He saw it like the first day. He saw it at midnight.
Yeah, he's like huge
Um,
Star Wars nerd, so I would be very surprised.
Has anyone
Me a
seen
nerd?
it
Come on.
twice?
No.
I've
I
seen
was
it.
going to, and then I never got around to it.
Okay.
I've
'cause-
seen it 3 times.
Have you really?
Even bigger nerd.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I'm a big nerd.
Okay, so I saw it last Saturday, and then I watched it again this morning so I could take notes, and it was actually pretty difficult. I had to take them all on my phone because it was so dark in the theater, obviously.
Well, taking notes in the cinema is not very practical.
Well,
That's
I'm
kinda
a movie
weird, to be honest.
critic now. That's what I'm doing. So I took so many notes, you guys. I took a lot of notes.
So
I took a
professional.
lot of notes.
Okay, is there like some sort of topic list somewhere that we can look at?
No, I'm gonna be moderating. So
So-
you guys don't have to worry about anything. I'm moderating, and then
It's not that professional, bro.
No.
Oh,
I'm
well,
leading.
I don't know, man.
I'm leading
Sometimes
this
Smarthy's
seminar.
professional,
Oh,
sometimes
no.
she isn't.
No, I'm gonna be moderating and leading this panel, and you guys are just discussing with me. But I'll be introducing like all the new stuff. So, anyway, first I just wanna like go through everyone. What did you guys think about the Force Awakens? So the Force Awakens was like the precursor to this movie.
Well, now you're changing the topic as well.
No,
Jeez.
well, this is the start off. We're starting off. We're starting off.
With a completely different movie. Like, why don't we just go all the way back to the Phantom Menace
I'm
and work our
trying
way
to
up to it?
lay the scene. You guys, this is. I want to be serious about this. Oh my god, I put so much effort. I paid 575 cents to watch this
500
movie
cents.
today. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's like literally a quarter of what I paid for it.
Well, the first time I paid for it, it was like $16 a ticket, but then
Cinemas are so expensive in Australia.
I went to the matinee.
Yeah, it's
So anyway,
insane.
let's go
It's
through
a
the
huge
list. So,
scam.
Mike, what did you think? Like, just say whether or not you liked The Force Awakens.
I actually did not like it that much.
Okay.
I was entertained by it, but overall, I actually like The Last Jedi better, but we'll get to that.
Okay, and then we'll just go down the list. So, Piquez.
I hated it.
Okay, you didn't like The
So,
Force Awakens either. Okay.
Yeah.
Robo.
I thought as a standalone movie, it would have been fine, but as a pretty much direct copy of A New Hope, it didn't stand up to itself. Like within the context of Star Wars,
Okay.
it didn't work out because it was so similar.
Yeah. Well, I liked it for what it was, but I have the same. I guess, feelings as Robo, where it's like, oh, they didn't really do anything new, but
So I thought the movie
Yeah.
itself was okay,
Yeah,
but because it
the,
was the same as the other one,
It was
it was
very
exact same
blatant.
universe.
the movie
Okay.
itself is well made. It's entertaining, but it's
okay,
just when you
okay,
compare
Charm, we'll just skip over Tarsus. You can just
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me?
skip
Why?
Tarsus. Just skip him
Nobody's
for
seen
the
this
entire podcast.
I did not like it. Not so
Okay.
much. I felt like there were some good elements in it among the new stuff, but as Robo said, I think it was like so much a copy,
yeah.
then
I think
it ruined the thing.
just for me, the characters aren't entertaining and interesting, but just the story just isn't on par with what you would expect with all the everything else. So just the story drags it down, and you're left if we like, yeah, I've seen it better.
Okay, so we don't have anyone who really liked it.
I mean, I don't mind it. I can watch it.
Right,
But
okay.
just
I'll happily watch it again,
yeah,
but it's just a
just-
popcorn movie. It's not
Yeah.
something that I'm watching for serious.
I mean, for reintroducing Star Wars, I think it did the job, but at least what I wanted for the next movie is to do something different, and that's what I got with The Last Jedi. So I'm fine with it.
So we're gonna continue on the subject of the Force Awakens, or we're gonna jump straight
No,
to the
we're
Last
gonna.
Jedi.
I just wanted to have that groundwork so we could see like what everyone thought,
Oh, yeah, okay, got it.
and then like
Oh,
base.
are we
our-
going to jump to Rogue One as well?
Oh, well, I was gonna ask about that. Like, just quickly, if you guys liked Rogue One, like as the new Star Wars movies, did you guys like Rogue One or no?
Yes.
Yes.
We're not going down the list again? I'm so confused.
Yes.
Like, you set up a
Just shout
format
it
and then you
out. Just
completely
shout it
changed
out. This is not a super professional thing. I'm not getting paid to do this. In fact, I paid to do this.
Oh,
Just-
You're sending me so many mixed messages. It's too early in the morning for this.
Yeah.
It's too late in the evening
Get on
for
topic.
this.
I really liked it. I liked it for what it was. I mean, if you think about it, though, the expectations are a lot lower, right? Like, it's not trying to be one of the main trilogy pieces.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
but it was well put together. It tied itself out really nicely and then connected back to the story, which was a really nice bonus.
Okay.
think
Felt
I
more
think-
like
Who
classic Star Wars
directed
to
Rogue
me.
One?
Gareth Edwards.
Gareth
Okay,
Edwards.
so
Oh,
all
Jesus,
of,
you didn't
that's
know these
something to
things.
point out is that the directors of Force Awakens, Rogue One, and The Last Jedi have all been different.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's like, that'll be interesting to see how you guys think that one. I think we'll get to
My
that
main
later on.
criticism with Rogue One is that there's content in the trailers that don't happen in the movie.
Yeah, that's true. There's content that looks really great in the trailers.
Yeah,
You just don't
like
see the
all
movie.
those beach scenes and everything. And
Yeah,
it just
yeah. Same.
disappeared.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it was like my main criticism of it was just that it's again some story that we've been told times and times again. It does a good job of linking episode 3 and episode 4, but if you think about it, it's just again the same story, just
Well,
with more details.
Yeah, but I think I can forgive it because it's trying to tell a story within the main stories. It's not like creating a new story but borrowing from the other episodes. It's just
Yeah.
literally taking a part of the main story and expanding on it. So
Yeah, sure.
I mean, for the concept of the movie, it's fine. It's not like The Force Awakens or where they could have done
Yeah,
everything
definitely.
and they just didn't.
If you compare it to the Force Awakens, it's completely different. Like it's something new. At least the structure of the movie is different.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there was parts of the pacing I didn't like. Just like the whole first half of it really dragged on, I thought.
Yeah.
But
The
Tarsus,
last
yeah, you're kind of referring. Are you referring to like the hero's journey aspect of it? Because I think this is actually really relevant to The Last Jedi as well, right? Like if
No, I'm talking more about like the previous movies, the four, like the New Hope and the Return of the Jedi.
Gotcha.
They all
Yeah.
have the Death Star plot in it, and in Rogue One, it's linking episode 3 and episode 4, but it's just about a story that we already know. Like we know the rebels have stolen the plan somehow, and I
Right.
kind of
Spoilered.
wanted like a completely new like story, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a new story, but at
Yeah, I
least
see.
it's
I see
the
your
movie
point.
itself was different. It was not like a copy of everything in the structure and the elements.
It was kind of a
that were
how
clear.
instead of a what, you know?
Yeah,
Good way of
Yeah.
putting it.
Okay.
yeah, it's true.
So let's dive into The Last Jedi then. So the movie starts off with the space battle and
Wait, you don't want to ask our opinions about the movie before?
well, okay. So overall, thumbs up, thumbs down. We'll go in
Thumbs
order again. So
down.
Mike, go ahead.
Okay. If you're gonna force me like a binary up or down, I'll say thumbs up.
Okay.
I actually really liked the broad strokes of the movie. I thought the story was like it went in some interesting directions. Some people didn't like that, but I really did. The execution, like some of the choices they made, some of the pacing, I really struggled with. So overall, it's like very hot and cold for me. But overall, I kind of have to say like it's above 50%.
Okay. Pickers.
Thumbs down.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of the story, and a lot of the characters I wasn't a fan of either. So
Okay. Robo.
I really enjoyed it,
Okay.
but
Nice.
I think my expectations going in were different to the standard super fan. Like, I'm not looking for a top of the like best movie ever. I'm not looking for like Shawshank Redemption or whatever else floats your boat as, a top movie. I'm looking for it to fit into the universe and be enjoyable and hopefully look cool, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So like, I can put up with some silly ideas or some crazy shit happening for and it still be a good movie
Yeah.
in my mind.
I guess I mostly agree with Robo. I enjoyed it for the most part, but I really like listening to criticisms, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I basically I just like bad movies, so I liked it despite the fact that like I can see it being a bad movie for some people. So I don't know, I enjoyed it. Tarsus.
Yeah, like my expectations were very, very, very low, and I still was not convinced by the movie. So I don't think it's a very good movie, and I don't think it's a Star Wars movie. I felt like it's more of a Marvel popcorn movie, and kind of disturbs me.
Okay.
But I'm not
Dryram?
hating
Oh,
it entirely.
yeah. Makes sense.
Can be redeemed.
Dryram?
Yeah, I really liked it. I kind of have the same as Mike. I have some issues, some choices that were made that I really don't like or don't really understand. And yeah, the pacing has some major issues, but overall, I think I really liked it, and I think it's a good Star Wars movie for me.
All right. So now we know everyone's overall opinions, and we can like dive into our specific opinions like as I go through the plot, which is what I plan on doing.
Okay.
So, I don't have any. I have notes, but they're my notes, and I'm moderating this panel, so like I'm not gonna give everyone the notes. Anyway, so it starts off with the space battle, and Poe is in like a fighter all by himself, and like goes in to the dreadnought, like right in there, trying to attack everything. And then, well, first he like starts this conversation with Admiral Hux, and it's kind of weird. He's like holding for Admiral Hux, that like he's basically just trolling at the end. He's like, urgent message for your mother. Like he does a your mom joke. Like right at the start, it's a your mom joke, and I'm like, okay. Like that's something to know.
Yeah, that was probably the cringiest moment in the movie, and the worst. worst.
I think
I
it
was
was
actually
funny.
okay with that.
I felt that was a terrible opening.
It went a bit
And
too
it
long.
got me out of the movie before I even started to get in, you know? It's like, oh,
But
what's the
it's
point?
it's kind of like in The Force Awakens when Poe first faces Kylo Ren when like, he's like, "Who talk first? You talk first." It's kind of the same joke. It just went on for a bit too long, so it's kind of distracting. But I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I
Overall,
really mind it.
yeah, it was. Meh.
I had a laugh at it, and then sort of thought it seems a little bit silly, but it was still funny. So
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
on
So
we
they
go.
go through
Yeah.
the whole space battle dealio, and then Poe goes back to the Rebel cruiser, and then like Finn comes out of his coma or whatever with the leaking water suit thingy. I don't know. That was weird. And then we go to Luke Skywalker Island, which is what I'm going to be referring to the island that he lives on as.
It's called Act 2.
No, I'm calling it Luke
Oh.
Skywalker Island.
Yeah, it's much better.
And okay, so like there was the dramatic moment at the end of The Force Awakens when Rey like hands him or is in the process of handing him the lightsaber, and so it like starts off right there. He grabs the lightsaber and just like flicks it over his shoulder, and like I don't know, is that meant to be funny? Like I thought it was like ruining a really like poignant moment that they had, that like J.J. Abrams had set up in The Force
Yeah,
Awakens.
That's my first issue with like ruining a setup from The Force Awakens, because in The Force Awakens it was really meant to be really poignant and a strong moment, and I get it that Ryan Johnson wanted to subvert expectations, but I think it was like this time it was really too much. Like I would have been fine if he just let the saber go because well he explains later that he doesn't believe in the Jedi anymore. But just throwing it over his shoulder like it's nothing, it was just
Yeah,
too much for a
and I
laugh.
don't like, was it meant to be comical? That's kind of what I don't know.
Yeah,
I think so. I think it's in
That's
the
what
same
I don't
tone
like
as
it.
the Poe opening scene, you know? And that's the kind of things that get you out of the movie because they're trying so hard to be cool
This is what I'm
or funny,
wondering.
and it doesn't work so much.
yeah.
Like,
I think
Sorry.
for
I
me
think to
it's
play devil's advocate here, though, I feel like it's if you kind of take that sort of preconception out of it, because I was already in a pretty bad state. I really hated the opening. I did not like that one X-wing. I don't care how good of a pilot Poe is. Like no one has ever done what he did, and just transitioning into this scene, like if you take that out though, if you take that bad taste out though, I feel like, I mean, if you look at the context of like just this movie, what Luke was supposed to be, like he was just really disgruntled. He was like, I don't want to have anything to do with any of this. It kind of makes sense, right? Like it probably,
I just don't
maybe
like how
was
they
meant to be a
spun it
joke,
as
maybe it
comedy.
came off wrong,
Like they
but
clearly
it
spun it as
makes sense.
comedy though.
yeah. I think it's one of the moments where the trying to make it funny gets in the way of the movie, because I'm
Yeah.
fine with him letting the saber go, but not like that.
Yeah,
It's
I
too
don't
much for a
know.
laugh.
So I
Yeah,
think it would have been better if he just like dropped it or handed it back. Like I
Yeah,
don't want it.
yeah,
or like
So-
pushed her hand away or something, you know.
Or just turn around, like
yeah.
Yeah,
Or
like, no.
just give it back and saying like, yeah, what's
Because I like that dramatic tension of like when Rey's about to pass the lightsaber to him and then it's like ruined when he just
Yeah.
tosses it
Yeah.
away.
yeah.
Right.
Okay,
I think
so
yeah.
oh,
Okay, you can go on.
I think that was enough on that probably. So that happens and he's like, no, I'm not going to train you, blah, 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 blah. And then it cuts to Snoke and Kylo Ren in like the red chamber room. And why is Snoke wearing a Hugh Hefner bathrobe? Like it's so distracting. I don't like it. Like why is
Smarthy's
this
a little bit turned on.
why is this completely like powerful like guy, like is he even human? I don't know. Like why is he wearing a Hugh Hefner bathrobe? Like I don't
There's no reason for it. Just Don't try to.
I don't
understand.
like it. It was so distracting to me. I was like, I'm so distracted right now. I can't focus because of the bathrobe. But yeah, and then Snoke's like, take off that stupid thing, and then, you know, Kylo Ren is like a cow or like a meek, afraid guy, so he just takes off the helmet. Blah blah
To be honest,
blah.
everybody seems to love Kylo's helmet, but I just didn't
I don't like it
like
either.
that part of
Yeah.
his
I
character.
actually, that was the one piece of humor I almost liked. It was like, oh, you're breaking the fourth wall. It's like, get rid of that helmet. Yeah, I was like, yes. I really didn't like it.
I
Yeah, I
didn't.
thought
Yeah,
the helmet.
I'm glad he
looks
got
like
rid of the helmet.
stupid.
That was one of the things that I hated the most about The Force Awakens,
Just
that
the
stupid
helmet.
helmet, because I just couldn't understand anything that he's
Well, I
fucking
think he
saying
was
while
like
he's wearing
trying to be like Darth Vader, right? And then
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
it really shows that he wants to be like Darth Vader, but I thought he would have, like, by the end of The Force Awakens, he doesn't have it anymore. So I thought he wouldn't have it even in this movie. But I'm fine with him, like, breaking it and we won't see it ever again.
yeah. And then let's see. So that scene is just like Snoke saying, "You need to like your transition is almost complete. Bring Luke Skywalker to me. Blah blah blah." And then so back at Luke Skywalker Island, the milk thing. The milk thing, where he's milking that creature, and then he just drinks it directly, and he looks at Rey like, "Yeah, I just did that." Like,
Yeah.
That was pretty stupid.
He's asserting dominance.
I don't even remember that scene.
it's just funny. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
weird.
fine.
How could you have seen the movie and not remember that scene?
It's
I
Like,
thought it
I'm
was
questioning
weird.
everything about you, to be
Talked
honest.
about it a lot.
It wasn't
I mean,
like
I
it was a
don't
bad
care
scene.
that
It just
much, but-
doesn't feel like it really fit.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
unnecessary.
I don't know. I think it was just gross and weird, and like, why do you have to put that in there? Yeah, exactly. It was just like, why? Like, I don't know. And then
Yeah, I think they were really trying to put this huge effort on making it cool, or this succession of comedic moments, which seems like heavy in the end because it's too much. It's not funny, and if you have too many of these, then it becomes too much, and I don't know.
I actually have another theory. I think a lot of it is also they were trying to throw in as many references back to the old movies as possible, to the point where I've actually heard people say, "Oh, this is almost like a mashup of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi." There were a lot of references, I thought, and that's one of them.
But the thing is, like, they are trying too hard to achieve the same spirit, the same atmosphere as the old movies did, and I don't think it's I don't think it's a good idea. I think they should really try to do their own thing, pursue their vision, and not stick to what the
Well,
saga used to be. And
I think this movie really had its own vision and really pulled it through. Well, with what was handed with The Force Awakens, which was pretty much A New Hope, Reinhard Johnson had to do something different. I think he had a new vision. He did something very unexpected, especially with Snoke, and I think it worked for me. But I know that at the start of the movie, you're pretty much continuing The Force Awakens, so it's kind of hard to do something really new when you're just like at this point of the story.
okay, I
Well,
just want to
I-
bring
let-
up something
let-
that
like,
the chat is talking about. They're like talking about Snoke more, and he's like a bad villain, and how like
So
we
is the
never
chat
knew
the
their
moderator now?
backstory. No, I am. But I
This
just
is my
wanted
stream
I
now.
wanted to talk about this because I actually did write down in my notes. I was like, "Who is Snoke?" with like 3
I know.
question marks because
Well,
we never
My
figured
link
No one
that
knows
out.
that.
at all.
But I don't know if I care really. Like,
Well, yeah, that's it. Like now he's dead, so who cares?
And
Like really, for it,
did
that's
we
for
like
me,
did we ever figure out Palpatine's backstory?
Yeah, we know.
Not-
Well,
I
we
guess
had
like
his
Kind of
legend.
sort of like he was in the Senate and that's how he rose through power. But like before that, we didn't know why he became a bad guy. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, then you can say the
Well,
same
No,
thing
you,
with
you
Rey.
don't
Right.
learn any of that stuff during the movies.
Not in the movies. In
Yeah,
the
that's
book.
kind of
No, you need to go back to the extended universe.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
you
have
don't really
to-
need to know all that background.
No,
Yeah,
no,
like,
but if
you
you
don't-
want to know that stuff,
yeah,
you have to go.
But because Palpatine is just a senator and stuff, Snoke just came out of nowhere and he's
Yeah, I guess that's
extremely
why it's kind of
powerful.
weird. Like, who is
But
this
like,
guy?
even
Well,
that guy.
no. If you look
If you
at
only
Empire
take
Strikes
the
Back,
third-
the Emperor comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, but
Yes.
you have
Yeah,
the prequels
agree.
then.
Yeah, but
But
the
if you only
prequels were
take the
made at that
first
point.
three movies, you don't know anything about the Empire, the Emperor, and he's just this guy that comes out of the shuttle at some point, and you can see that even Darth Vader, that was like the other bad guy to that point, is scared. So that instantly creates an aura around the character, and
Can I? Yeah.
Oh, for
Can I
sure,
just
but
say
it doesn't
something
give
about
you
these
any
guys?
background for them, though.
Yeah.
but do you need it?
No, you don't, because look, Darth Vader is freaking awesome, right? Palpatine is freaking
Yeah.
awesome. Snoke is sitting in bathrobe. Like what is this guy? Like he only
That's
shows
exactly
up
it. It's like who
in a
is like
hologram.
Yeah.
he's
in
just
The
behind the
Force
scenes.
Awakens.
Does he ever do anything cool? Like Darth Vader did cool stuff. Like I like he doesn't do anything. He just sits on his throne. I made a
Yeah.
note about that too. He just sits on his throne all day. Like what does he even do? No one knows. Like
Snoke was set up like the Emperor, like to be a major player, something like a really powerful guy.
but he's
And then-
not. Like
And-
we've
yeah,
never
that's-
seen his
that's the
power.
problem. That's
They
the problem.
wasted
That's
his
my main
potential.
problem. That's my main problem with the movie. It's Snoke. He's a big setup, and it just deflates, and there's nothing there. And you're like, then why would you set up that in The Force Awakens and even at the start of the movie, if you're just gonna kill him like that?
Here's an interesting theory. Snoke will return in episode 9.
Well, that's honestly JJ could do it. I don't think it.
Is
I
J.J.
don't think he
Abrams
will.
the director of 9?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
It's really confusing. Like, why do they have to keep
About that.
changing?
I don't
Director.
know.
I think
Was he
they
doing
fired.
a different project? Like,
They-
while
they-
I think
filming
there
it?
was an original guy and they fired him.
They
And-
fired the guy that made Jurassic World. He was supposed to
Yes.
make episode 9 and got fired, and then they brought in JJ again.
JJ was busy. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so staying on track with the movie now. I hope we've got all that out in the open. Okay, so the milk thing, no more about that. Okay, so then we go back to the Resistance cruiser. And suddenly, like, Leia has a homing beacon for Rey. Like, where did that come from? And then I guess that's not a big deal. That's nitpicking. Also,
Yeah, I mean, why not?
like, okay, so then they're still in the space battle, or there's some kind of space battle. Oh, it's after they jump to light speed, and then the blah, blah, the First Order followed them, tracked them through light speed and that's a big point in the movie, is that they can't escape by light speeding somewhere else.
Well, I think that's kind of a stupid thing to be hooked up on, seeing as you could already do that
track
in
someone
the
through light
extended
speed.
universe. Yeah, like you know the heading that they're going on, and you know
Would
there's
you
not
like
like
follow them?
I mean,
though?
like,
well, because you know what direction they're going, and
Yeah.
it's not like there's 40
But
stars
do
in
you
a
get
line.
there,
Okay,
like, instantly,
5 minutes
like, within
before.
30 seconds?
5 minutes before that, you learn that Leia has some kind of beacon that connects her to Rey. So she has some kind of beacon, and then they're surprised that they're being chased by someone that can track them.
I
mean,
think the issue is how long it takes, because the First Order was there in like 30 seconds, whereas like it used to be like you could track someone, but it might take you a long time to like figure out where they are.
Not
Pacing
really.
of the movie is just really
But
fast.
I think I like it because, like, in the previous movie, Lightspeed was always like the get out of any situation. Like, you just go to Lightspeed and then you're safe. Just they did that a lot in the original trilogy, where the Falcon just goes to Lightspeed and is out of range and you're just safe. Now that there's this feeling like you're never safe anywhere. you can always be tracked down like almost instantly. So I think I like the idea, but what I didn't like is that, well, once they track them down, they just don't do anything. They just keep going for like half of the movie, just being followed.
It's a never-ending runway, just like the Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
I mean, it's not a
I didn't
big
care
deal.
about that too much. Yeah, I
No,
didn't think
it's
it
Yeah,
was that big of a
they
deal.
they just want to have like a big chase in the movie,
Right.
and they're going through light speed, so they need some way of having the bad guy chase them.
Okay.
That's how it
Yeah.
works.
So then they continue like having a battle or something. At one point, Kylo Ren goes off into his own little fighter ship, and he goes into the Resistance cruiser, like shooting their like hangar with all the fighters and stuff, like just as Poe was about to leave with BB-8 on his own fighter. So like Kylo Ren's shooting that all up, and I'm like, okay, so how did Kylo, he went onto the cruiser and shot it all up. How did he get off the cruiser? I don't know.
he was-
Yeah, why did he
Like a
stop?
French
Thanks,
thing.
alright.
I don't know. That's just a continuity thing, but I noticed that. I was like, okay.
I was wondering, like, why did they stop? Like, they could hit the cruiser, obviously. They could do damage, so why did they stop and didn't destroy it completely?
In the movie, that they said that the ship was getting out of range, and like small fighters like Kylo Ren's can't be too far from their main ship
To
because of
protect them.
reasons.
The thing that
Okay.
annoyed me the most was a big point later is that they're staying like just out of range, so their shields can stop them from being destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But the fighters basically totally ignore that. Anytime a fighter goes near a big ship, it just ignores the shields, which is very evident right at the beginning with Poe destroying like all of the stuff on the dreadnought.
Shields in Star Wars have always been like a magic thing. Like, you can stop blasters, but you can't stop.
Look at
You can't
Robo's
stop a
Discord
ship or-
picture.
Uh-oh, what's going on?
Look at Robo's Discord picture.
Smarthy, you just totally cut him off.
Sorry.
You were supposed to wait, okay?
I just noticed it. I had to say. That's beautiful.
Good stuff.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm being.
The-
Now,
in the
now you
extended
just
universe,
totally
the shields have
ruined the
a-
flow.
I'm sorry.
Shields have like a set thing what they actually do in Legends, what is now Legends. Like there's two types of shields. One blocks blasters and one blocks physical things. But they're effective against fighters. Which is why they couldn't destroy the Death Star easily. They had to fire it through an unshielded port. You can't just fly up and shoot something.
Well,
I mean-
I always thought that was more of a thing of the amount of firepower that you would need to destroy something that big.
I mean, shields in Star
Isn't
Wars.
feasible.
Into the tube.
Like, the only reason they had to go through the exhaust port was because otherwise you would need, 40,000 ships, and clearly they don't have that, right?
Yeah.
This is the only way for them to do it with their limited numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it doesn't matter so much. It's just that within the same movie, you want the thing to be consistent so that you can believe in it. If it works one way in one scene and then it works some other way, then you stop believing it because you just think, why did they not do that the first time or something like that? So, but
Yeah,
I don't think-
that's my point. It's not consistent. It doesn't seem to
Yeah.
work against fighters, but it seems to be able to stop something much, much more powerful than a fighter, like the turbo lasers from the
But
Dreadnought.
I guess you could imagine having a shield that would block a torpedo from high range, but can't stop something like just from a very close range.
Well, it's possible that you just get inside the shield, right?
Yeah.
I'm reading chat, and to
Okay.
Tringa's point, I almost feel like the technical stuff matters less in Star Wars. This isn't Star Trek, right? So like, I had to suspend disbelief a little bit, but like, I don't know, I kind of had to let it go. I thought.
Yeah.
If you look too much into technical stuff in Star Wars, they're like big giant hoops. plot holes.
I almost get a little bit of a steampunk vibe from Star Wars. A little bit. Just a little bit.
No.
Just
No,
a little.
not at all.
It's mostly because
tiny.
the
No.
original trilogy was made in the 70s and 80s, and the technology sucked.
Okay, let me keep going with my notes though. So I wrote Leia's theme. When she feels Kylo, she can like feel his presence, and then her like theme song plays, which I thought was good. And then she is blown out of the ship, close up on Leia's cold, dead space face with Leia's theme, but then she forces herself back to the ship, not like this.
Yeah,
That was such
Not like-
Not like this sums it up
worst
perfectly.
scene in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I actually did not dislike that scene.
It was so weird looking.
I felt
though.
it was okay.
Has
You
Leia
hated the
ever
movie, but
used
you
the
liked
Force
it.
ever, aside from sensing people? Like, does she?
She's a Skywalker. She
I
she
know,
has
but
the
she's
Force.
never
It's
used
obvious.
it in the past. Like, she has never.
It's been
used
30
the Force.
years. It's been 30 years.
And
she
she's
probably
never
was
used
told by
it.
Luke at some point or
So
something.
it's weird that she used the Force. Like, I don't.
I'm fine with her using the Force, but just the way they shot it, the way they did it, just
Yeah.
so wrong.
Like, they could have just had her force herself back in at the moment of the explosion.
yeah, just
Yeah.
do something.
Like as
different.
she goes out the shield, out the window or whatever it is, forces herself back in instead of
Also-
this thing where she's like half dead.
I
kind
don't.
of.
Yeah,
I don't
was-
like that they like are playing like. I don't like that they're faking us out because everyone knows Carrie Fisher actually died, and I don't like that they're faking us out with that. It seems like they're like using her death, like Carrie Fisher's death.
It was filmed before
I don't know
she
because
died.
like that would have been a good moment for like
Well, there's a thing
Leia
called
to
editing.
die. And
Right.
I don't know. I don't like because that's another thing. Like Carrie Fisher, like how are they gonna do that? I don't know. It's
Well, Carrie Fisher is another issue for the next movie, but
I don't like how they handled it.
The whole scene was kind of weird. I agree that it would have been better if she just like grabbed onto the Force immediately after getting sucked out. Not
Yeah,
like
I think they
Everyone
just
basically
cut
died, and
to
then-
another scene. So
Yeah,
it
they-
feels like it's 10 minutes.
yeah,
But when the battle is happening, it's probably just after. But there was another scene in between in somewhere else with other characters.
yeah. You just believe that she's dead, and then you go back to her, and then she flies back, and you're like,
Right.
what
It's
is
like
going
the way
on?
that they shot it was like really poignant. It was meant to be really poignant. It looked like, right? But then it's almost
Yeah.
like you have to really suspend disbelief, right?
Yeah,
like when she starts
just-
going back, and it's like, wait, like
Because they shot
How
up
am I
on her
supposed to
face, and
feel
it was
now?
like
Right.
they like paused all the sound effects and stuff, and it was just the music, just Leia's
Yeah, but-
theme. And I thought it was like that would have been a really nice moment for like her to leave, you know?
No, I don't think so. I mean, she just gets blasted out of in space, and then
Yeah, I
she
know it
dies.
was sad, but when they did the close up on her face, I was convinced.
Yeah, I thought she was dead
Yeah.
too. Like,
I mean, in StarArs, there's sound in space, so there probably is air as well.
yeah. Don't question it too much.
It just felt kind of like too magic. Like the Force is the Force.
That's the
which is
thing.
kind of
like
like
this
magic, but it
movie,
felt
I
like she
thought
kind
there
of
was
just
a lot of like
magicked herself back
magic-y.
in, not forced.
Yeah.
Use the Force to get back in.
She didn't force herself back in, she just dragged the cruiser to her. In space, it's the same, you know?
Now it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So why didn't she just save the cruiser by tossing the dreadnought away?
What?
Doesn't work like that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
another plot hole. Is like, if you can just light speed somewhere, why didn't the First Order have one of their ships light speed in front of the First
Yeah,
or
that's the
the
question I had too.
Resistance?
We're getting to this
Because
point.
that's how lightspeed works. You get pulled
Yeah.
out by gravity.
There was no
so
gravity.
you can't go closer to the center of the star because that's where the gravity field is powerful enough to pull you
Yeah,
out.
I think
they
that
going towards
there's
the star?
Well,
gates
couldn't
for
they,
light
like,
speed.
So they couldn't go fast enough to like fly in front of.
Around, yeah.
Well, no, because
Like-
there's a maximum distance that you can get to before you get pulled out by the gravity well.
Gravity well. Right.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're not near any gravity wells. They travel for a
planet.
long time before they get one, like days, like 17 hours or something like that.
Yeah, well,
That's
that is
Yeah.
not
It makes
possible.
sense.
That's
Light
that is
speed doesn't
possible
make any
because the
sense.
fucking
It's not
galaxy is
worse.
huge.
It makes sense that the Resistance has to run because they don't have fuel. But the First Order is set up as having like millions of ships everywhere. They could have just jumped in front.
From the
That
other
was
side.
Yeah,
that
with
was
Yeah.
another fleet or something. So,
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it seems like, but it's like, do they? I don't know.
Yeah, they
but that
say
would stop the movie short. That
Right.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
why
that's
you
right. Yeah,
cannot
they
have
couldn't
that.
do that because the movie would have ended. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but
it's just a
You know,
plot.
they can't be
hole. It's
clever.
weird.
but you're like they say that they can't catch up because the resistant fights ships are lighter, so they can be faster. But you're the First Order. You must have some light ship that can catch up with that. But yeah, whatever. It's not huge deal.
Yeah.
It's just
The
annoying a bit.
technical stuff is like, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, again, it's just a matter of being consistent within the same movie.
Within the same universe, yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next scene. Oh, so we're back at Luke's Island, and I had a note before on Luke's Island where I wrote Luke is an angsty teenager because he's just like grumping around everywhere, like, no, I'm not gonna help you. Like, just, I don't know. It seemed very angsty teenager to me. I didn't like it. I don't know. I wish I don't know. Blah. But, okay, yeah, he goes on the Millennium Falcon and then like he sees the message from Leia from 40 years ago, literally 40 years ago, and then he like after seeing that he agrees to train Rey. So I think that's that there. So
That was a good scene, I thought. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't like what they did with Luke's character to begin with because he seemed like way too mopey and everything.
Angsty
But that was
teenager.
a good way to bring him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a
And
point
this
where I
let's be
reminded him,
real.
like, stop doing what you're doing. This is not who you are.
Right. Yeah.
And the way R2 does it is just such like a representation of how he was in the original trilogy, where he's always that kind of like little fun robot. So like instead of doing some, like I felt it really fitted in well with his character, I guess, to play back something that has special meaning for Luke as a way to say, "Yo, you're being a fuckwit. Get on with it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Viper.
I'm not Viper. Like that's a very nice thing to say, but that's not true.
No, I'm reading the chat.
So you weren't
Yeah,
listening to
basically what
Robo.
Viper
Yeah.
That was my problem with what they did with Luke. He very strongly believed in the originals that you could not be so far gone you couldn't come back.
That's
And
what
now
Well,
he
like.
believes that
it
the
was
Jedi
his
are so far
father.
gone they can never come back.
He's just a good son. He wants to turn his father back. He doesn't care about the other young guys. Not his
We
father.
didn't get enough of why
Family first.
he like decided to stop, like to push the Force away. Like we didn't get enough of that. Like why did he like stop believing basically?
Yeah,
Like,
but like if you look back in like the Empire Strikes Back, you don't get why Yoda doesn't want to train with Luke and this kind of stuff. So I didn't mind it too much. I mean, I can see Luke being broken because his nephew left him and turned to the dark side. And I mean, Luke, when he killed the Emperor, well, he didn't kill the Emperor, but when the Emperor got killed and Darth Vader, he was supposed to have brought peace to the galaxy. And then when he sees that the very thing he built turned against him and has brought the galaxy at war again, I can see him being broken and just stop believing in anything.
yeah.
I think he doesn't have time. Like, if I understand properly, what happens between the Six and the Force Awakens is that once they kill the Emperor, then the rest, the like one defection of the Empire just becomes the New Order, and war continues. So they basically have no rest or something like that. Or am I wrong? I don't know exactly.
No, that's basic. I think if you actually if you go in the books, it's basically the rebellion creates a new republic, and they let the remnants of the empire form the First Order, and the resistance is basically a group of the New Republic that does not agree that they should allow the Empire to continue to exist. So they split off and continue to be rebels, like within the new empire, within the Empire.
New Republic.
That was never clear from the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
get
it's not clear at all in the movies.
You don't get any sense of politics in the new movies, and I mean, I get the complaint that there was too much politics in
In
the prequels, but
That's actually one of the things I liked in the prequels.
in
Like,
the new
I
at
kind of
least they
liked
tried.
it too.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it in the prequels either, I'll be honest.
You don't understand it, but at least you feel like they're trying to build
Yeah.
some universe there, something different.
Yeah. Okay. So next thing, we're back with the Resistance, and the purple-haired lady takes over. What's her name?
Laura Dern.
She's the girl
Holden.
from the first
Admiral,
Jurassic
Commander
Admiral
Holden, Admiral
Holdo.
Holden, something.
She's the daughter of Bruce Dern.
Okay,
actor.
so she takes over, and like it's very much spun that we're not supposed to like her. Like she goes after, like she taught like Poe and her like talk back and forth a little bit, and we're meant to not like her, obviously. Like that's how they spin her. So just a note there, and then we also meet Rose for the very first time when Finn is trying to escape through an escape pod. Obviously very contentious character there. And
I quite like
What
that
character?
scene.
when he tries to escape
Yeah.
and she
Yeah, I
gets all
thought that
feisty.
was like interesting the way that she was like, "Oh, you're a hero," and then you can slowly see her becoming a bit jaded, thinking like, "Well, fuck are you doing, mate?"
Yeah.
I think it was consistent with Finn's character in The Force Awakens, where he's not a rebel. He just did what he had
Happens to
to
be
do.
there.
Yeah, he's a coward.
He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't believe in that they can win. So I think it
He
was
just wants to
consistent.
be with Rey, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Blinded by love. Okay, and yeah, so we meet Rose, and then she stuns him so he can't leave, and then she's like wheeling him to somewhere, I don't remember, to detain him or something, and then she starts talking about blah blah blah, and then they get plans to get the codes, and then yeah, so they need to find the master code breaker on the planet that is basically Monaco.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's kind
On
of
Star Wars meets James Bond.
yeah. We'll
Okay.
get to that later. We're not to Monaco yet. But yeah, they form this plan that Finn and Rose, who just met each other, are gonna go off on this separate mission to this planet with BB-8, and they're gonna find this master code breaker and bring him back, and they're gonna go on the fleet, the ship of the First Order, I don't know what it's called, and deactivate their tracking system. Okay, so that's that, and then next, it cuts to, well, Rey and Kylo are having a Force conversation, which is a new thing, right, in this movie?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's new.
When
Yeah.
Emperor Strikes Back, I mean,
It happens between
Darth
Luke
Vader
and
talks
his
to
sister, or yeah.
right after he
But
drops off.
nothing as specific as this conversation. They can
Yeah.
sense
None of
each
them
other, I
put a
think.
shirt on. Because I don't
Yeah.
really want to do this.
And then
right now.
again, the same Marvel humor
Yeah.
that's ruining the movie.
Well, yeah. So later on, we figure out that Snoke is the one who is like making this happen. I don't know how that works, but Force magic, so you know.
Well, it could sort of be considered to be in the same line as Ben coming back as a ghost.
Force ghost. Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
part of it. I like the Force
Force is
conversation
just a convenient plot point
stuff.
to
Right.
get things to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that actually worked fairly
Yeah,
well.
I liked it too.
Yeah, I think it was nice to see interaction between Rey and Kylo Ren, because I mean they are really far apart in the galaxy,
Yeah.
and it was nice seeing them both of them, their struggle with their masters, and how they could bond together even though they are on opposite sides. I think the scenes worked quite well, even though like,
I
it's, like
agree.
cosmetic.
I think it was like not only this scene, but exploring like the relationship between Kylo and Rey, and developing the characters was the most interesting part of the movie.
Yeah. Okay. So the Force conversation happens, and then we go back. We're on Luke's island still, and there are the frog nun creatures on his island that like the caretakers, the island natives he calls them, and I don't know. I don't know like how I feel about all the weird creatures on Luke's island. Like you think
I
he's
don't like
That
it.
didn't bother me. It
you
was
think
just the
he's like on this
caretakers.
island like
It
fending
wasn't-
for himself on his own, but no, like all these like frog nuns are doing everything. So
The caretakers just felt like they were trying to add more just like comic relief. They were not there
Ewok
for any
kind
purpose
of
other than
Yeah,
comic
things.
relief.
Yeah, except the Ewoks were an integral part of the story.
Yeah, the
they didn't-
caretakers.
Yeah.
The caretakers
did
only had like
nothing.
2 scenes, and I think they were supposed to have a bigger role, but it got cut out. I think they could have removed it entirely because they don't add anything to the story.
Yeah, they're useless.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
mind
It's like
it.
why?
It doesn't bother me. It didn't serve any purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. My brother kind of said something. He was like, he kind of pointed out, it's almost like they wanted to like make you believe this isn't Earth, and so you just throw in some extra creatures just to make you remember. It's like, you don't
but
need to insult your
Maybe
Ewoks,
it's just
insult-
supposed to be cute for kids. I don't know.
Well, they're the porgs for
Cute
that.
for
For that,
kids.
but
No,
I mean,
but not only that, like even the fucking fox at the end or something.
What were
But
the
they need names,
porgs
like,
or whatever?
you know, like
Porgs,
does anyone
yeah.
remember
Porgs.
Wicket?
The only purpose of the porgs was to sell.
I,
trees.
I was afraid about the porgs that they would be like Ewoks. That
I
they
didn't
would be
mind
like.
them that much.
I didn't mind the porgs because they weren't in the movie
were kinda
that
just
much,
around.
and they didn't
No.
serve any purpose. Whereas the Ewoks just drive me mad every time I see Ewoks beating stormtroopers. So
Have you guys seen that Robot Chicken episode with the Star Wars stuff where it's like the Empire will be defeated by Ewoks? It's like, really? But it's true.
Well, I
Okay.
disliked the porgs every time we saw them, but it wasn't that much. Like 3 or 4 scenes, I guess.
yeah,
I thought they were just kind of cute little
they were
background
friendly,
thing.
cute.
I don't see what they're bringing. It's pointless. It's again this kind of okay, cuteness / Marvel humor when you have this scene with Chewbacca, and it's, yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
really
When
think
he's
they were
cooking
just-
the
it's-
porg.
It's supposed to
Yeah,
be
I-
a very broad universe where there's many
think-
different creatures, right?
Yeah.
And then if you don't see anything except for humans, it's a bit of a, well, is this really a intergalactic setting? Or are we just on Earth chilling?
Yeah.
yeah, I think that
Uh,
they're just supposed to be cute and they're inconsequential. So I enjoy. They were funny at times. So
I didn't mind them.
them.
Yeah, I choose the porgs over the frog nuns every day though. Okay.
I take the frog nuns. We only see them once.
No, you see them like 2 or 3 times. at
They're,
least.
it's a repeating gag whenever Ray destroys something.
Yeah. So
They come in and they're like, what the fuck?
then also on Luke Skywalker Island, they're doing their first training. So when they go to that like rock precipice and like Luke is like, sit on the rock, and this is when the reach out moment happens, you know, Marvel humor again. And after that, like they actually like Rey actually like feels the Force, and then Luke is like, oh, you went straight to the dark side, like I haven't seen this since Kylo Ren, and now I'm not gonna make the same mistake again, like, and then he storms off or something.
Her feeling the Force scene did not fit in Star Wars. Like the just montage of clips.
The what scene?
When she was feeling the Force, and it was just like a montage of
I didn't mind
the
that.
ocean crashing.
No, I didn't mind.
To me, that did not feel like it should have been in the Star Wars movie. It felt like the end of Lucy, which sucked.
Well, I disagree with that
stuff.
thing being that scene with the black goo going into the dark side thing,
We'll
because
talk
isn't that
about
exactly
that
what
later.
Luke did on Endor?
We'll talk
Yeah.
about
Not
that
Endor,
later.
fucking on Dagobah. He went
Yeah.
into the dark side cave and then he killed Darth Vader.
Yeah,
Which
he
was
just
actually his
he
face.
failed the test.
Yeah, he did the exact same thing when he was doing his training.
Luke did what?
He did the exact same thing. He went into the dark side cave and then he like went all angry trying to kill Darth Vader.
Yeah. Okay. And then there
So I
was
feel like it's a bit
more-
hypocritical of him to be like, oh, you failed because you did this exact same thing that I did when I had the exact same amount of training you had.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, but
Do what I
Good
say,
point.
not what I do.
Good point.
Yeah, but
Yeah, exactly.
that's why he's worried, because he's seen his own failure, so he knows that he failed, and he's worried that if she fails too, well then
Well,
there's
yeah, but
no hope.
he may
Then
have
she's gonna
had
fail her
small
students
failings,
as well.
but overall, his Jedi journey has been,
Yeah, he's
pretty
been
much
pretty
entirely
good.
good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I don't really see why there'd be an issue with you making mistakes during a training, because that's what training's for, right? You're not expected to be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so after that, there's more Rey and Kylo Force connection talk. Just like, I don't know, getting to know each other, the typical. And then Rose and Finn go to Canto Bight, which is the Star Wars Monaco, with the horse races, the gambling, casinos, all that stuff. And Rose is like, I hate this place, and Finn's like, this is awesome. And then, she explains why she doesn't like it, and yeah.
Well, I hate this place too, so that makes
The
it
whole
worse.
side plot just felt really pointless. It was like, it seemed
Yeah.
like it was just there to give those characters something to do.
Yeah, but it's really dragged down the pacing. Like the rest of the movie was quite fast paced and interesting. It just didn't feel anything for that. And it was every time they cut back to it, I'm like, not this again. Like, yeah, that's a bad story, really bad story.
It felt like it's something that took a long time, and it didn't sound like they had a lot of time to do it. So like, it didn't really fit for me into the timeline of, hey, you're like about to lose, you're about to run out of fuel, and quick and do this thing, but then they're like just kind of chilling and get that parking ticket and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so one thing though is like, part of the reason I think they may have done this is because like the Resistance this whole time is up in space with this force battle, and you only, or not force battle, space battle. You only see like planets. The only planets you see on the movie are Luke's island, and then at the end the Resistance new base, and then like they were like, oh, that's probably not enough. They probably want to see more planets, so then they probably just threw in this Canto Bight place.
Yeah, but not this planet. This
I
planet
think
was
that's
just...
like putting a band-aid over the like over a flesh wound or whatever.
Yeah, but put a better band-aid, because that planet was shit, and the entire story was not interesting. Like, you could have done something different.
Because there's been like gambling planets pretty much in Star Wars before, so the planet didn't bother me. It was just the story was very pointless.
You mean like about them being like arms dealers?
No, like why
they went there.
The whole side plot was...
Oh, with the we need
like
a code breaker thing.
Yeah.
And then it didn't end up, like, they didn't end up being able to do anything with it anyway. Like, they failed.
But
if it succeeded, it would have been good, because it failed, it really felt just like we need something for these characters to do because they're now main characters. So let's just have them go off and do something.
But they didn't get the code breaker they went for, but they got another one that apparently
The
apparently
criminal,
could
yeah.
do
They
the
actually
job too.
they actually have no proof that this guy is able to do it in the first place.
Yeah, it's
He just
like
said, "Oh yeah,
He
I
just
can do this. Don't
opens
worry."
the
It's-
door. He just
Yeah.
opens the door, and then they say, "Oh, okay, let's take him."
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't
just
know.
like-
I feel like they just and they never even had names, right? Like the first code breaker that they were supposed to go to, and then like this new guy. Did he have a name?
yeah, it's DJ.
DJ. Oh, that's why. Because it's such a weird,
Oh,
stupid name to
great
have in Star
name.
Wars. Like, like what is his name? Oh, DJ. Okay. Ugh. Okay.
I guess that's the part of the problem, right? Is they introduce these characters that you just don't click with, right? Like the fact that you can't even remember their names, I think, is a problem.
Honestly, I think the DJ's character was like not a bad idea. He was just a traitor to everyone, and
The character was okay.
he double.
I
he double-
didn't like
double-crossed
him. It's just Benicio del Toro always playing the same guy, always playing the same way. It's just
Yeah.
like, ugh.
A lot of
Yeah, but
actors do that,
He had
though.
never done that in Star Wars, so I'm fine. It's just that the
Ah,
story-
it's you take
Didn't-
any other movie with him and he's playing the same role the same way,
yeah.
and you put it in a Star Wars, and that makes it okay. So
Yeah. Okay, so
I felt like this entire part at the casino, it didn't really belong in a Star Wars movie. I didn't find any element of the atmosphere to be, like characteristic of Star Wars. Like you don't really have exotic colors or shapes or just people living in it. It feels like very James Bond, plus this
yeah.
subplot with the
yeah.
children and the horses that just is basic Disney things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
bothered me, all this part.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so moving on. After they first arrive in Canto Bight, we saw that, and then Rey is doing like practicing with the lightsaber, and I thought that was a pretty good moment, like when she's doing that and it plays like her theme song, and then Luke like shows up and is watching her, and then she like cuts off the rock, and then it like messes up the frog nuns whatever they were doing, and it becomes like a comedic thing then again. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but the scene isn't played for comedic purposes. I mean, the scene was really cool. It's just that small shot with the frog creatures. And then just after you cut back to Luke that is really scared and stuff. So
yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's the only scene with the frog nuns that I can remember, so I guess it was the most memorable.
That was one of the few scenes that I've actually liked Rey in, because it was the first one in 2.5 movies where it didn't feel like she was instantly good at what she was doing. Because she actually messed up. That's the first time she'd messed up in like 2 movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like she beat Kylo Ren or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you're
Basically
saying.
did.
I've heard that complaint before.
I mean, that's my biggest complaint with the entire new trilogy, is Rey's character is one of the biggest Mary Sue characters I've ever seen in fiction. He's just always good.
well, I think it's
I like her.
The fact that she could beat Kylo
I like
Ren
her.
doesn't bother me that much. I mean, you've seen that she can fight. She can fight with a staff, so fighting with lightsaber is okay. It's a jump. It's not like
More
that
natural.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an issue so much with Rey specifically, so much as like in the new movies, it's more everyone can be your hero. It feels very Disney to me. That's like, oh, you're a hero, you're a hero, you're a hero, you're a hero. Oh, but you're flawed, but that's okay, you know. Like I don't know. Whereas I felt like it was a lot simpler before. You had like your main characters and you had your auxiliary characters. Now it's sort of like everyone.
Well,
Yeah,
if
I
you
like-
think
I like the
back on
actress.
it, like
I think
Luke-
the actress does a good job acting it. I don't
Luke
like how the
was
character
a really
is written.
powerful guy too. Like,
I
I don't
But
know.
You know, it's like, yeah,
Luke
you can
makes lots of-
explain everything with the Force. Like, if you take the prequel, Anakin in the first one, he's good at everything he does, and they can explain that because he's naturally super gifted with the Force, so that makes him good for everything. And it's the same thing with Rey. She has this tremendous natural raw power, and I guess that scene with the Progna, it shows that she has to learn how to control it, but she can basically be very good at everything with training.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. So then Luke tells his version of what happened to the training temple. And I think this is interesting that all of them, or I guess Luke and Kylo both have different versions of what happened to the training temple. Like, Luke conveniently left out the part where he, like, stalked Kylo in his, like, cabin or whatever, and, like, was holding his lightsaber above Kylo Ren's head. So I think that's interesting that he, like, lied at first, or he, like, omitted the truth to Rey when he was telling that story to her. And I think it's clear that he feels like, well, he said this, that he felt, like, really ashamed about it and stuff, so, like, it makes sense that he wouldn't want to tell her because he was, like, shameful of that. Any comments? No? Okay.
No, I thought
No.
that was fine because it was like the two different sides
Yeah.
of the story. Like Kylo didn't see him like start to back down. He just woke up and it looked like he was about to get killed, and that's
Right.
what pushed him over the edge. So like both sides of the story are true from a certain point of view.
Right.
Yeah.
They both
And-
omitted the truth.
Nice.
It was actually
and that
cool, I thought.
that
And
makes
you also
really
need to consider that Kylo was still, you know, younger than he is at that point in time in the movies. So, like, you know, when you're a 16, 18-year-old kid or whatever, there would be far more. I don't know. I hesitate to use the word scary, but
yeah. I mean,
you know, that sort of
his-
feeling to wake up and see your teacher standing above you, like, well,
Yeah.
dude,
his uncle is about to kill him. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, sure. Like,
have a Snickers, mate.
Mhm. I agree. Okay, so moving on then. So some of the Resistance other ships are losing fuel. So like the medical frigate dies. I don't know why I said dies. It didn't. It was, you know, exploded, but or shot at and killed.
Destroyed.
Yeah, destroyed. I guess that's the word, right? And then we're back in the Monaco prison with Finn and Rose, and then that's when they meet the fake codebreaker guy, and he just like casually gets out of the prison cell because that's how it works, I guess. I don't know. I thought that was weird. And
That's
there were
how
no
he's a
guards
code
around
breaker.
either.
But that's because he's a code breaker.
And then BB-8
Yeah.
somehow like disabled all of the guards on his own. So
Well, if you go back to the prequels, R2-D2 does similar things.
yeah,
the droids.
but I feel like not to that extent. Also, are we really basing this off the prequels now? Like
Well, I'm just saying
using the
that.
prequels as the
originals, I mean,
standard?
Well,
R2
because
it's a
everything in this movie
Everything
is
done
following on from what
before
happened,
is
and because those things are now canon, right? Only the movies and any new source coming forwards. You sort of have to consider the wider universe now. It's not just the originals.
Yep, but I'm just saying. Are
Yeah, I think-
are the prequels really the pinnacle of like cinematic?
no, but what?
No, they're
No,
not.
but none of
that's a
none of
different
Star Wars
debate.
is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
None of the Star Wars movies are the
Yeah.
pinnacle
That's a
of.
very
But
important thing to remember.
You can't ignore what happens in the prequels. So if they do something in the prequels and they don't do it now, you're gonna ask, well,
I know, but
wait,
like, did
why-
R2-D2 ever do
R2
anything to that extent?
Not
In the
no.
prequels.
He opens a lot of doors.
I take issue with on that front, but I mean, I think R2
think-
did do a lot of cool things, but a lot of them were kind of by accident.
I
Like,
think in
or
the
they were
original
just-
movies, the only thing he does is opening doors all the time.
well, he fixes
Especially
also
in The Empire Strikes Back.
He's a code breaker.
Yeah, he is.
We didn't
He
need
is.
human code breakers.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's stupid in the universe where you have super strong robots. You don't need human code breakers. That doesn't make any sense.
Yep. Okay. So then they release all of the horse things, and they gallop off. They run through Monaco, destroying everything with the horses, and they run off into. Well, actually, the horses are able to run up cliffs as well, which whatever, that's cool. And then they run into the like field of tall grass, and the helicopter type things are can't follow them anymore. And then the codebreaker guy has stolen a ship, and he flies up to them with BB-8. He's with BB-8 now, and he like rescues them, and they fly off to the First Order ship. So, and that's the last that we see of the Monaco planet.
I think this entire sequence was terrible.
I agree for once with horses. That's like the only thing I'm
Hallelujah.
going to agree. Yeah, that's one
Someone needs
part
to
I
clip
really
that.
like.
Rose's second dumbest line. What was that? What did she say?
Well, when
Yeah, they did something that mattered because they freed a horse. Like when everything.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
She
she
frees
says
the
now,
horse.
Horses
now
are
it's worth
people
it.
too, guys.
I couldn't write down everything.
Well, then that's why I felt like it's like, hey guys, like your trip's about
Yeah,
to
that's
die.
Now
now
it's
it's
worth
worth
it.
it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that was so cringeworthy.
I think the only good thing is that when they get on board the ship, it's over. Monaco is over. Finally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that felt a lot like Harry Potter more Star Wars to me, with the creatures and everything.
It did look
Yeah,
a little Harry
and breaking
Potter-ish, didn't
everything
it?
inside, like just a few
Yeah.
horses.
Yeah. That didn't bother me too much, but I
Or,
can see
or
it.
I don't know,
it's the
I
first
thought
Brosnan era Bond film, like GoldenEye.
Yeah.
I actually did think about that ice cream. I was like, oh, he's like just casually speaking English. Because in the prequels, I don't know in the originals if they did this.
I don't know,
but
we
they had
can't talk
alien-
about the prequels because they're not a good movie, remember?
No. In the prequels, they had some alien characters talking, and there would be subtitles in English. What was there anything like that in the original trilogy? I don't think there was.
Yes, yeah.
There was?
If you take the beginning of the Return of the Jedi, when he's at Jabba's palace,
Right.
then
Oh,
all
that's right.
the aliens
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
are talking
You guys
different
You guys
languages.
were getting Greedo.
That's right.
Yeah,
My
and
bad.
Greedo in the first thing, and
Wasn't
Jabba
that
himself.
all added in later?
No.
No, I think they were talking rubbish
I think-
since the beginning.
It
Yeah,
says
Greedo
Buddha
was-
Solo, which
Yeah.
is not English, as far as I know.
That's right. I just forgot. Yeah. Okay, so moving on from the whole Monaco situation. So we go to Luke's island again, and he's like by himself. Is he in the tree when he's like trying to open himself up to the Force again? I don't remember. I guess that part wasn't that important, but I wrote it down, so whatever. Like just saying that, oh, he's changing, I guess. And then we get shirtless Kylo Ren. Force conversation between Kylo and Rey.
Smarty's favorite scene.
And no, I just think it's
Tony
funny
likes
because
it.
it's like a meme now.
I
And-
know, I'll
Yeah.
admit, I had some feelings for that scene.
Doesn't Rey tell him to put clothes on
Expected.
too? She tells him
Yeah.
to put clothes on.
Yeah.
And then, so they're like kind of bonding at this point, and Kylo tells his version of the Jedi Temple, Luke's Jedi Temple, being destroyed, and this is a very different version. Luke, is standing over Kylo with the lightsaber and his murderous eyes, and I thought it was interesting. I already talked about how I like that they told different versions, but yeah, why did he have to be shirtless? I guess
Marvel
Same
humor.
reason
Just
why any
because.
hot male actor needs to be shirtless in a
Is
movie.
he
to be-
hot?
But he's
Yeah.
not hot.
Yeah,
He's fucking
that's the thing.
ugly.
I don't think he's that attractive.
Well, then equal opportunity here, right?
A lot of people.
You know, it's like in the previous movie, like you wonder what he looks like behind the mask, and then he mask. The thing you want is that he put his back on, so you don't see his ugly face. Oh.
Lol. Okay, so that was that Force conversation. And then, so Rey goes into the dark hole on the island, and this felt like very Harry Potter to me, this bit. Because, like, with all the
Why?
mirrors and stuff,
Not
I
to
typed that in
me.
the chat earlier.
and I don't know how I feel about it. I felt like that part was weird.
I mean, it was weird, but I don't think it was out of place.
Oh no, I thought that sort of fit in with my idea of the dark side of the Force.
So
Or
Rey's
just the Force
like,
in general. Where
Rey,
Force is, it's both at the same time. It's like the yin yang.
Yeah,
It's good and evil. It's all how you
Not just a
perceive
pure
it.
evil thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also taken aback by Rey's inner monologue, since, like, she's never had an inner monologue before,
Well,
so I was
she's
like, oh, okay.
it's not a monologue. She was talking to Kylo Ren. It's just that it's edited in the way that she's telling the story at the same time as you're seeing it.
No, they don't
No,
have, they're,
he's correct. It was edited as like her telling him of the experience. He's correct.
it
See?
didn't seem like
Correct.
that to me, but,
It kind of felt like an inner monologue until the end when you see that, like, it wraps up with her telling him, like, without the
okay,
weird
okay.
They were
mirror.
trying to be cute, I guess, but yeah, I have mixed feelings about that, right? It's like, it's a cool device, but I wonder if they really pulled it off.
Yeah. But I don't know, yeah, so...
I wasn't convinced.
And then,
that scene.
like, at the end, she's like, show me my family, and then, like, the glass breaks and it's her reflection. And that's been, like, it was never, like, touched on hard in The Force Awakens, but, like, it was always, like, there, like, everyone was like, oh, who are Rey's parents? You know, like, everyone's obviously interested in that. So they really, like, took that theme to heart for this movie. And then Rey tries to convince Kylo to come to the light side, of course, in their conversations. And then Luke tells the full truth about what happened at the Jedi Temple and the Kylo confrontation, that's what I call it, to Rey. So now she knows, like, because that's right. So she gets out of the Force conversation and she's like, did you try to murder him? And, except in a British accent, which I'm not going to attempt to do. And he's like, you don't understand. I don't know, but yeah, so then he tells Rey the truth. And I think there's, like, something where she's like, come with us, like, help us, blah, 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 and he doesn't. And then she, like, holds a lightsaber to him for a bit, which is weird. But she didn't, like, strike him or anything, so there's that. And then Rey leaves Luke Skywalker Island on the Millennium Falcon with R2-D2 and Chewie. And then the Yoda Force Ghost shows up. What did you guys think of this?
Ugh.
I thought the Yoda Force Ghost was fine.
I think it was really good.
Like, it brought Luke, like, fully. Well, it kind of you see at the end that Rey has saved the books that the Force Ghost destroys. So he's basically, like, pushing like not telling the whole truth to push Luke to do what he needs to do and stop being a wuss on his island.
Yeah.
Robo, is Pete even
Hey,
here?
ignore it. No.
What?
Don't worry, you'll find out later. Keep the podcast going.
Okay. But yeah, so I don't know how I feel about Yoda. I guess I kind of liked it. It was kind of fun, like seeing Yoda. Like, oh yay, it's Yoda. We all like Yoda. You
I think
know?
it was pretty badly done.
Probably.
No,
Like,
I don't agree.
I feel like it was bad Photoshop.
But
I think it was meant to look like that, though.
But they used
That was
a
intentional.
practical puppets. They used the
Yeah,
puppets.
like they had. Yeah, that. I
Yeah.
like that they. I liked how it looked.
I agree with what Viper says in chat. It's like he's not he serves no purpose. It just comes, makes some Marvel jokes, and boom, destroys the tree. And I think it's also some fan service because they take the old appearance of Yoda, like the puppet in the original movies, and they copy the same appearance so that the old fans says, "Oh, this is the old Yoda. It's so cool, etc." I don't like that.
But
Well,
yeah, so Yoda calls the Jedi texts page turners, and
not page turners.
no, well, he uses the word page turner, and
Yes.
I was saying I didn't like how he used that. I picked up on that too, but I felt too nitpicky bringing it up, so it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, it's weird.
I disagree with Thought when he says that he doesn't have any purpose. I mean, Yoda is he was Luke's master, so it makes sense for him to be the one that will bring him back to the Force and to do the right thing, to push Luke back into the world and stop shielding himself from the Force.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough, but
you have to forgive the Marvel humor. I think he just finishes what R2-D2 started, right? It's just like it is consistent with what a Force Ghost does, right? And both Obi-Wan and Yoda.
But I think it's very poorly done. I guess that's what disturbs me the most.
Yeah, it could break immersion a little bit. I can see that part of it, but it's all about expectations.
Kind of,
I
yeah,
didn't have
Ice
any
Cream. I
issues.
kind of feel like that too. They were like, "Oh, hey, let's put." Like, was there a purpose? Like, would
Who else would it have been? There was Yoda and Obi-Wan. They're the only two.
But did that scene need to happen?
Well, Luke would
I think
have
it
gotten
did.
off his ass, right? What do you have?
I think it did to redeem Luke Skywalker and fully bring him back, because it clearly seemed like he wasn't able to do it on his own, and he needed a bit of help, and Yoda was the one adequate for that.
Where are the ghosts?
Sorry. Let me get back to
That's
my
what I would
notes.
like, actually. If they just did an in-between movie where you have Luke sitting on the island for 20 years talking to Yoda
I was
and Ben.
thinking it would be Castaway, but in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, or Robinson
And you
Crusoe.
can replace Wilson with BB-8 or something. Or
No.
Please,
That's
no.
what the Force That's what the Force Ghosts are for. It's perfect. Like, you can make it like a TV series where he goes on little adventures around his island.
Why
helping
did
the
Pete say
cause.
"damn it, Robo"?
Ignore it. Come back later.
Ignore it.
Okay.
This is a Star Wars podcast. It's not a Pete podcast.
Anyway, well then let's continue. So we talked about Force Ghost Yoda. Okay, yeah. So Luke hesitates when he intends to burn down the tree, and then Yoda does it for him, and then Finn and Rose are at the First Order ship, and when they're traveling on the ship that the Codebreaker stole, Rose gives him her medallion as like payment, and Finn's all like, "No, you can't take that." And then I thought it was interesting that the Codebreaker was like, "All right, let's see who this ship belonged to," and then he sees that they like sell ships to the bad guys, and then he's like flipping through, and Finn sees like an X-wing fighter, and he's like, "Oh." And then the Codebreaker's like, the bad guys and the good, and I don't know, I like that moment. So it's like, you can't always, nothing is not like, sometimes it makes it seem like everything's so black and white, but it's not always. So I don't know, I like that bit.
That's one thing I like about the new movies, right? Even Rogue One, right? It's like it's not as clear-cut good and evil as it
Yeah,
used to be.
yeah, because that was one of the main complaints about Star Wars, as opposed to Star Trek, where Star Wars was everything like black and white, the dark side and the light, and there was no middle ground. And you're getting to see with the new movies that there is a middle ground. That there's not just the good and the bad. There's a whole spectrum where people aren't always evil or entirely good. So I mean, if it fits in with the theme of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, all the rest of the movie is kind of black and white. Like, the First Order is clearly very, very dark, and the Resistance is very, very white. There might be like conflicts within both factions, but it's still the same good versus evil, and it's very clear who is who. And
Well, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Nice, Rose.
Thank you.
They kind of.
I actually, this is a tangent, but I actually, I was reading something once, like a couple years ago. This woman who, like worked, like, she was a journalist, I think, and she would like interview, terrorists, and like she said, like she compared it directly to Star Wars and would say like the like terrorists feel like they're like the rebels in Star Wars, like with suicide bombing, and they're like this small army up against like this huge like force. And I don't know, that's so, I don't know, it's interesting. I kept thinking about that, especially at the beginning when they were like everyone was a suicide bomber. So yeah, I don't know, that was something that, just a random tangent about good versus evil, blah blah blah.
Well, I guess the message in the end is that war is evil, rather than either clan. I think that's what they come out with the Codebreaker scene or something.
Yeah, I think that was the message of the Counterbite segment, was to showcase that people can profit from wars, whatever, every time. I get the message, but the execution was so bad that the message comes out so cheesy.
Yeah, it feels out of place.
It doesn't feel like Star Wars.
And I feel like that if that was the main point of it, it just didn't like hit home hard enough. I don't know. Didn't.
Maybe it could have been better executed, and it would have been interesting, like seeing that some players can take advantage of both the First Orders and the Rebels, and they can benefit from a war and stuff like that. If executed well, it can be an interesting take on the war in Star Wars, but not like that.
It comes out of nowhere, right? Like, where was the build up to that? Where was all the other, like, where do you ever see the rebellion or the resistance, what getting their weapons or anything?
Exactly. Like,
well, I guess the build up was the Counterbite scene where you show all these rich people and stuff.
So the build up is the thing itself, like that just.
Yeah.
I don't like. Yeah, it's too.
I enjoyed that part of it, like that aspect of the Base Monaco scene.
That there was a message, a point to it at the
end. Yeah, I thought that actually worked in okay. Within like a political sense. of Star Wars being a what do you call it? A critical analysis of life, like how Star Wars was kind of talking about Cold War kind of thing, and then Vietnam. It sort of fits into that.
Yeah.
That's becoming very, very complex.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that they tried to do it. I think they could have done a better job of
Yeah,
working it in
same.
and integrating it.
I think the idea was nice, but just the execution just made it so much worse.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on then. The purple-haired lady decides that everyone will escape on the transports.
Hodor.
What I'm calling her the
But they won't
purple-haired
get
lady.
that 'cause
I'm
she
sorry,
doesn't
that's what I
touch
wrote in
her
my
hair.
notes. She was known as the purple-haired lady. So she decides that everyone is gonna go on the transports and abandon the cruiser. And Poe like calls her a coward and a traitor and is like, no. Basically. And then like they all point their weapons at her and they're like, I'm taking control of this ship now. Why would she just tell Poe and Co that she had a plan from the start?
Yeah, that's stupid. She could have done that.
She was way too like, I don't know, like sassy or I don't know.
Yeah, I think the idea was she's trying to prove a point that because Poe fucked up, he doesn't
I think
deserve to hear this other stuff.
She made it personal.
Yeah. She was trying to prove a point that Poe was too much trying to be in the action every time and do something.
Too hot-headed.
Yeah,
but if you think about it that way, then knowing that the guy is completely susceptible of doing these crazy things, he can risk the lives of more people, so it's not worth it. As the leader, she has
the person who's not doing the right thing.
I don't know, but it's there's a thin line, you know, like as the leader of the rebels, she has to make sure that most of them survive. And Poe being Poe, and she knows how uncontrollable he is.
Well, let's be real. If they had told Poe, would anything have changed in the course of that chase scene?
No.
Yes,
no,
because
he would have stayed behind.
He wouldn't have sent Finn and Rose.
Okay, no. Other than the useless plot arc that we've already discussed,
well, it's
the results to the actual people that died wouldn't have changed.
It's because they get to the ship that the First Order knows that they're evacuating.
Actually, if they wouldn't have gone to the Monaco planet, then the Codebreaker wouldn't have sold them out. Yeah, and they could have escaped with the transports, completely unharmed.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So... No, I'm talking about the lead up to that bit though, because like someone's saying that hundreds of people died, you know, and like the ships were all exploding, but you know that still would have happened regardless. Yeah,
that would have, regardless.
You know, as they slowly started to drop out of the convoy and
run out of fuel.
Like, so all of those people still would have died.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the character design here as well? Like for the purple hair lady? I like the actress.
It was so
and I thought the character was interesting, but it's so badly done. Like, why does she have to have like this kind of
it's distracting
purple
just
hair and
like Snoke's Hugh Hefner robe.
I was like, whatever. It's Star Wars.
It's distracting in the same way.
I mean, she is like some kind of military commander. Why does she not have uniform?
She's a vice admiral, right? I mean,
maybe
she looks like a senator or something.
No, listen. The only reason her hair was purple is so that we would know who she is and we would have like something to call her, purple hair lady, because no one's gonna remember her name.
It's for people like me who can't recognize people.
You've got a name for them. Well, yeah, I don't see an issue, like, because it's Star Wars, like, not all humanoid species are human, you know?
Yeah.
Like, for all you know, she's got 10 toes on each foot, right? And it's normal to have purple hair. Like, obviously, I'm grasping,
Right.
but I don't
Yeah,
see why that's
I know.
a big issue.
It's just part of the universe, but it was a little bit distracting. Okay, so then that happens. Let's see. Rey goes to Kylo Ren's ship by herself on like one of the Millennium Falcon's escape pods, and like he meets her at the door. What a good guy, right? So he meets her right there, and then oh yeah, and it cuts back to the Resistance, and then there's this internal Resistance conflict, and actually shots are fired, like the Resistance on Resistance infighting. I'm like, can't you people just get along? I think that was part of the theme too, is like the Resistance infighting was like, and I don't know if it was totally resolved either. I don't think it was. Like, I didn't think they ever learned to work together. Just the purple-haired lady died, and that was like...
I think Poe learned his lesson that he should trust. It comes back at the very end of the movie when Luke is facing the entire army all by himself, and Poe is like, okay, I understand. He's buying time for us to escape. I think the Poe at the beginning of the movie would have tried to fight with him.
Okay.
And
yeah.
he has learned to trust others' plans and follow along. That's how I got it.
Timonius,
Yeah,
you missed
I
a lot.
think,
We already went
yeah.
over that. We're going chronologically, so you missed that.
Just bloody hell, get here on time next time if you want to criticize the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, fuck's sake, mate.
I mean,
Someone's
it
getting
kind of goes back to
angry.
like the Resistance isn't all amazing and heroic and stuff, right? They're flawed and stuff like this happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's kind of another theme. No one's perfect. Okay, so then let's see. The internal Resistance conflict. Oh, and then like, I don't know if you guys like this part, but I thought it was very clever. The hot iron that looked like a spaceship, the scene where it like drifts, like comes down from the ceiling, and then she's ironing the clothes. Kind of cheesy, but I liked it. I'm not gonna
It was
lie.
fun.
Okay. I just wanted to mention that because I liked
I don't even remember that scene.
I thought it
Blocked
was
it from his
good.
memory.
That's a very short.
I liked it.
It was
It
a bit,
wasn't
just
shots.
like a little snippet, like 5 seconds maybe, but I liked it.
Yeah, it wasn't as cringy, I thought.
Oh, and then, yeah, I made a note of this. There was Dark BB-8, except, like, I wanted to see more of Dark BB-8 because I feel like in, like, the promotion for the movie, they showed Dark BB-8 and BB-8, like, a lot. Like, side by side, they would show, like, the light BB-8 and then dark BB-8, and I was like, they only showed him for a tiny little bit in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just to sell toys. Just doesn't matter too much to me.
Was Dark BB-8 in The Force Awakens?
No, he wasn't.
Oh,
I don't think so.
I've seen so much merchandise though. So
I know, that's why
already
I'm like,
existed.
I was ready to see a lot of Dark BB-8, and then we didn't see any of him, really. Just a little bit. Or her,
that's
I don't
like
know.
people complaining about Phasma, saying like she's in a lot of promotional material and stuff, and so they're disappointing about her.
I didn't
And then
miss
she
her.
dies in
Doing nothing
5
in the
minutes
movies.
in both movies.
I didn't really miss her.
In the
I didn't
movies,
understand the hype for her. It's the
Yeah,
same
I
with the
don't
Boba
understand
Fett hype.
either.
Like, you don't see anything to do with her,
in the
and
movies
yet everyone says, "Oh, she's
themselves,
such an amazing character."
she doesn't do
Like-
anything, so I don't care if she dies. I mean, she's
That's
just
because-
indifferent.
Alright guys, we're going chronologically, so just stay tuned if you want to see something, if you want to listen to something awesome. Okay, so going forward,
Well, how long do they have to listen for?
Well, I don't know, however long we're gonna go. Okay, so next after that was the Rey and Kylo sexual tension in the elevator. Thoughts?
Well, that was very.
Well, she's already seen him half naked.
True.
Makes sense.
True. Okay, moving on. Oh, the code breaker, like, gets them in using Rose's medallion, and then he gives it back. So that was cool. Like, he's not a bad guy. He gave her back her medallion. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and then just sold them all.
Yeah, but whatever.
But this sells like the story that you can be nice while being a cunt at the same time.
Yeah.
No, it's the duality of all
I-
things.
I agree with that ice cream. That they should have looked up. It would have been more interesting. Okay, and then there is more internal resistance conflict. Also, there was a rebel scum in there somewhere. I made sure to write that down. Because that's like.
Oh, that was a Finn being.
Yeah,
vulnerable,
that's later.
right?
There are 2 rebel scums. I wrote both of them down. But yeah,
Okay.
this one was at Finn, I think. Oh, and then the Silver Stormtrooper lady, Phasma, shows up. Leia is alive and upright, and she shoots and disables Poe. I'm just gonna keep
Force
going.
magic.
You guys can interrupt me at any time, but I'm just reading what's happening here. And then I wrote perfect opportunity perfect opportunity for Leia to die with the cruiser, but her purple-haired lady does it instead.
Yeah,
Well,
that was weird. But
Clearly, they've already filmed all that,
yeah,
right?
the movie.
Yeah.
I think. Well,
And if they go back and CGI her in, then you're gonna get all the Tarkin drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like
I think
she
it's
just looks
it's
fake.
just karma.
Yeah.
They did a poor
Like-
movie and then they got fucked by real life.
Yeah. I
But like,
think
you can't blame them for that because
No, you
it's
can't.
nobody's fault. Like,
It
it
could
just
have been
happens.
better with Leia, but yeah, what can you do about it?
Okay.
Like, if Leia hadn't, if Carrie Fisher hadn't died, then you'd be saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, why did she die now? Why couldn't she stay into the next movie?"
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But
Like,
That's my
people
argument
only
know
want her to
that-
die
for that,
because she
too.
died.
yeah, but like now we're all like, okay, so what are they gonna do? Did she film any scenes for?
No, nothing.
Yeah, but
I-
like, it happens. Like, you can't.
So
blame
you
the
have to
movie for that.
CGI her one way
No,
or another. They can't just
they-
say, "Oh, she died between
They said they
the
won't
last time
CGI
you saw
her.
her and now." They can't just say that.
I think they will. I think they will recast her. They have no choice.
What?
They can't do any. They can't kill her between the movies,
I know.
and
I
they
know.
said they won't
That's
CGI her.
No,
So
I actually wouldn't mind if they tried it.
recasting or CGI.
Well, you can't CGI people forever. So I think, I mean,
Yeah.
there are other movie franchises recast people all the time. I don't think.
yeah, I think they can try to recast her. I wouldn't mind. I mean, they don't. It's not like they have a choice. So if they have to do it, then okay.
This chat.
Ugh. I'm trying to keep up with the chat as well. It's a little bit difficult.
Donnie's just completely ruining it.
So what part are we talking about? Are we
Okay.
talking about
Next,
this side?
no,
the-
hold on.
Yeah.
I am the leader of this discussion.
Wait,
so-
we didn't mention that Admiral Akbar died at the very beginning of the movie.
Okay.
And
who
that's very
I
cares?
thought
sad.
about bringing it up.
Admiral
but-
Akbar died. God damn it.
He's just a useless character.
The thing is, like, you hardly
anyway.
even
Became a
see him
meme,
though.
so people
He
like
he was
him.
hardly in either of the movies. So
Yeah, but just
if he'd been more of a character, then I'd feel more for it. But it feels like it was just tying
Yeah,
off a loose
obviously
end,
no one
as it
cares.
were.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not real complaint.
Okay. So then we're in the Snoke's red throne room again with all his red guards. And Rey is in there, Kylo Ren is also in there. I wrote Rey is brave and fearless, and Kylo Ren is meek and
Strong,
afraid.
independent woman.
And that is I liked this scene a lot. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And so Snoke admits to bridging their minds using the Force, so like their Force conversations. And then we cut back to Leia and the purple-haired lady, and they're talking about Poe, and Leia says, "I like him," and the purple-haired lady says, "Me too," just as they're like getting off on the transport. And what happens after that? Oh yeah. Poe gets a piece of humble pie when Leia is saying that, like, when they're transporting down to the planet and saying that, like, the purple-haired lady's plan is not that bad because they're saving everyone's life instead of, you know, suicide missioning, like, with the cruiser. So Poe gets a piece of humble pie. That's part of the theme. He's not perfect. Also, like, I wrote this down as just like a visual note. I really liked when they were on the Death Order. I was gonna say Death Order. No, the First Order's like main big ship. I think Rose and Finn were there, and they're in the hangar and they're showing like all of the troops and the AT-ATs. Well, they're not called that anymore, are they? The walkers and stuff, and you just see like the expanse of everything and like how much like I don't know, how much like military might they have. I thought that was really cool. Like, I like that visual. I thought that was
Yeah, I think it was well done.
Yeah.
From the
and they
like
they were
environment.
preparing to go down to the planet because they knew, since the Codebreaker sold them out, they knew where they were. Okay, and then and then the Codebreaker. This is when he actually like
Well,
officially.
I
sells
feel
them
like
out.
that's a bit of a strange plot point that they needed him to tell them where they went, because there was such a heavily populated area that there was
Yeah.
there was
All
no
these other
other planets nearby for them to choose from, right? Oh, there's this one planet nearby. They mustn't have gone there. Like,
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying.
Could they have shot the transports otherwise? Like, I felt like the movie implied that because he sold them out, then all the transports died.
Yes, because they wouldn't have noticed the smaller transports.
Yeah,
They were too small for them to detect.
and that's
Yeah.
complete bullshit. Seeing as you can detect a single-person fighter on your sensors.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
they were
They
supposed
had
to
to
be
kind of
cloaked
like
and stuff.
fudge the
Don't
details here.
challenge the
Oh yeah, they
technology.
have cooking devices in Star Wars now. I forget.
Also, I
It's probably the
wanna,
Force. It's magic.
I want to talk to Ice Cream's point in the chat. He said, are we expected to believe that the First Order took over the galaxy in the time it took for Rey to hand Luke a lightsaber? That's another thing, is like, what happened?
Well-
like, that the First Order gained so much power. Like, how did
Well,
that
you guys
all
didn't
happen?
explain
Are you
But-
implying that they didn't have any power
Yeah, they
prior to
had
The Force
power.
Awakens?
They
Are you implying that they were in a position of nothing?
How did they get that power?
they were.
Well,
in the
that happened
Order
between
meetings.
episodes 6 and 7.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah,
you
they
need to
did
read
some-
the books. You need to buy the books to
They
know.
should have had a map at some point that showed red is like bad, and then like green is good, and like the relative sizes for us to understand. Because I never got it.
Yeah, you don't get that.
Get what?
You don't get a scale of anything like
How big
who's
is the First
fighting.
Order?
or-
How big is the?
That's exactly it. It's like you don't, you
I
never
think at the
know.
beginning of
Well,
Force Awakens, like the Resistance has a third of the galaxy, and the First Order has another third, and there's a third of neutral planets or something like that.
Oh,
I think that's the
yeah.
idea, and yeah, kinda. Well, because there's like the Republic supposed to be different from the Resistance, and sort of neutral, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's in
but
the books. I've not read that.
once
sure.
the
So-
Republic gets blown up, like the First Order just takes over every planet they had. So that's how they can have all the galaxy just for them. I don't think it's a big issue. Just it could have been explained a bit better.
I think the scale is
Yeah.
what's wrong, though. Like, you don't know the scale, and they never tell you, and that's
Yeah, you never know anything about what's the situation of
yeah.
both clans.
That's
It looks
why I like
You have the entire galaxy and
the
60
political
rebels.
stuff in the prequels, because you actually like know
Yeah.
what's going
They
on.
explain stuff. Yeah. At least they tried to explain it.
Yeah. Okay, so then we are back with Snoke, and I wrote, what does Snoke do? Just sit on his stupid throne all day?
That's what
Then
Palpatine
exactly
did once he
Yeah.
became
That's what
an
bad
emperor.
guys do.
And then Snoke orders Kylo to kill Rey. And then they let's see. So Snoke like turns Rey around, like he's like controlling her body through the Force. And so like she's like on her knees facing Kylo Ren, and he's like acting like he's getting ready to strike her down, basically. And then we see the Luke's lightsaber, which is on Snoke's throne, like start to move a little bit. And then Snoke dies, the lightsaber cuts right through him, and just as Kylo Ren like grips his hand, I've seen some people who think it was actually Rey controlling the lightsaber, but then I rewatched it and I was like, no, because he like grips his hand when the lightsaber like shoots through Snoke, so that's definitely Kylo. So Snoke is dead then. And then that starts the battle of Rey and Kylo teaming up and taking on all the Red Guards. And they end up killing all of them, as we all knew would happen. There's no chance that those stupid Red Guards would win. I
still thought that scene was really well done.
the
fighting bit. Not the killing of Snoke. The fighting scene was beautiful.
I thought so too. I liked it, but I had no doubt that like one of them would die or something.
But
clearly they're the protagonists and the antagonists.
Yeah. I also wrote a note. Oh yeah. So as soon as Snoke dies and like Rey jumps up and they're getting ready to battle, it starts like there's like a split second or like a second of slow-mo, and then it like gets going in real time. I thought that was cool. I thought that was a nice touch that it was like slow-mo for a second.
I always thought that's sort of like a force reflexes enhancement kind of a thing, where it's like, I don't know, you're using the force and you're able to predict what's going to happen because it slows down or speeds up reflexes. I don't know how to word that properly.
Okay.
So now the Force is the Matrix.
Yeah, you control time and space.
Kind of, yeah. Like if you go back to Extended Universe, before that was retconned, that's exactly what they talk about happening.
Okay, so they end up killing all the
So
Red
that doesn't
Guards,
count anymore. So.
And then they have a conversation, Rey and Kylo, and like Rey like all of a sudden is like, call them off, we can save the Resistance, and then Kylo's like, no, you can join me and we can rule the universe. And eventually Rey admits to herself and to Kylo Ren that her parents were nobody. So all that build up and then they're nobody, which I kind of like.
Well,
because anything else would have been really like expected.
Cheesy.
Yeah. Everything else would have been like, well, that's just convenient. She's just the granddaughter of Obi-Wan or stuff like that. So I like that they made her no one. But it kind of goes back to destroying things that the Force Awakens set up.
Yeah, I think they took every point of mystery of Force Awakens and they either shoved it away, like the lightsaber, and or just revealed the mystery or something, you know. So, or killed.
It is
Snoke
kind of a letdown. I'm not gonna lie.
So, it's a letdown.
So it feels like everything is kind of resolved by the end of that movie, and I'm wondering what's gonna. But I also kind of like the fact that she was nobody, because it's you're definitely not expecting it since you've seen all the previous movies and it's always sons of somebody. And
well, Anakin's the son of Force, right?
Yeah,
is that really a better way to?
Anakin is like Jesus. Anakin is literally Jesus.
I highly prefer this than another Force pregnancy.
Well, it's just saying that anyone can have the Force, and
well, technically everybody has the Force, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Midichlorians are in everybody.
Talent.
Yeah, ice cream. It feels like there's a bit of like a thing, like the directors, J.J. Abrams, and then what's his name,
Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson, like had some disagreements. Like, especially when J.J. Abrams left off with that dramatic moment of Rey handing over the lightsaber, and then Ryan Johnson, like, makes Luke just grab the lightsaber and, like, flick it out like it's nothing. Like, and J.J. Abrams set that up to be a really dramatic moment, and then the next director was like, fuck you. And then J.J. Abrams set it up to be, like, a big reveal of Rey's parentage, and then that was nothing also. Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of one thing that worries me about the new trilogy. It's like that doesn't seem to be an overall plan. They're just doing each movie after each one. So, and
It's
especially
not cohesive.
and switching directors every time, just like
Doesn't help.
well, it doesn't. You don't have an idea of where it's going. It could go anywhere, so which can be interesting for like not being repetitive, but at the same time you can't build up upon anything. You just making each movie as it goes. So that's one thing I don't really like because JJ is going to take the next movie and he's going to make his own thing again.
Yeah.
There's no vision.
No,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
just about
There's
to use that word.
nothing cohesive about it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, how much power did Ryan Johnson actually have when he made the movie? I think to that point, okay.
He had all the power he wanted.
I'm not sure about that. You know, like, Disney, they fired the guy for the last movie, so I think they pretty much control what they want, and they can push someone off if they don't like what he's doing. So but that's also
that's what they did with the Rogue One, where Gareth Edwards was the director, but apparently they really were not happy with how the movie was going, so they hired a second guy to basically be the second director. And
you recut the whole thing, right?
Yeah, and for the Solo movie, they fired the directors, and same for Episode 9, they brought JJ back. But apparently with Ryan Johnson, they didn't have any issue, and he was just able to do his own thing. And they gave him a whole new trilogy to make in the future. So apparently it's entirely his movie, but I don't know.
Well, then again, maybe he's just really bad. I've seen only Looper by him, and it was pretty bad, so...
I can't,
I enjoyed that
I can't
movie.
accept that.
Oh, it was terrible. Let's go back to the Spoilercast.
Okay. So then I wrote, Kylo feeds Rey's desire to belong by telling her that she's nothing, nobody, but that she's something to him. So, more sexual tension there. And then he offers that they rule together. Oh, and then they do the Force thing over, and Heisenholt corrected me over this. It is now Rey's lightsaber. It's no longer Luke, so I'll call it Rey's lightsaber now. So it was
Anakin's lightsaber.
Yeah, but now it's Rey's, okay? So they
Wait, wasn't Anakin's lightsaber destroyed?
No, it was...
Stop talking!
They found it in Maz's
I'm talking!
place.
Yeah. It was Luke lost it in Empire Strikes Back when he lost his hand.
Yeah.
They took it out of that planet.
How? It's a gas giant. You physically can't get to the middle, but whatever.
Yeah, just don't ask.
Anyway, if you won't interrupt me...
You told us earlier to interrupt whenever you have something to say.
No, now is not the time. So
wow.
they force over the lightsaber. And then the lightsaber breaks in half. So exciting. Yeah, Viper, right? They're rude guests, I know. So the lightsaber breaks in half. And then the purple-haired lady, like almost at the exact same time, the purple-haired lady blasts into the First Order ship at light speed.
Yeah, that was awesome. I really loved
I
the
like
shots.
how it looked, like the way they did it was really cool, but like why don't they have like remote control ships that they can just light speed into everything and kill everything
Yeah,
with their light speed remote control chip?
I guess
I don't want to.
they will come up with an in-universe.
I don't want to
use.
defend that scene, but I think like the idea is that you need an object that's similar sized to destroy your target, so they would need to sacrifice one cruiser for a cruiser or something like
Yeah,
that. I don't know.
that was the.
Okay,
I know of an
that's
A-wing.
have like
I know of an
giant
A-wing
heavy-
that disagrees with that.
Yeah,
say,
so it's not consistent within the same universe.
But that one doesn't make sense because somebody must have face planted the controls or something.
I do agree, it looked really cool though. Like the visuals of it were very
Yeah,
nice.
there was no sound. It was just visual.
Yeah, that was very cool. And the purple hair lady died because of it. Or so we think.
Before she shows up in the third movie.
She's gonna
She
pull out the
was
ball
just
and
a
come back.
forced projection.
Oh
She's
shit!
just chilling somewhere else.
I mean, anyone can have the Force now, so, you know, maybe she has it too.
Okay, so then we're back on the First Order ship after it's been severed. And BB-8 comes stomping in on an AT-ST, which he is now controlling.
Yeah, and by the way, very conveniently, when she breaks the First Order ship, she kills everyone in the loading area except the good guys.
No, Phasma's still
Phasma.
alive.
That's just plot armor. That
Phasma's
happens
still
in every
alive.
movie.
Yeah, they have names. They're protected.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
so
I feel like that's something you can't really complain about because
Yeah,
it's
how
a part of movies now.
that's how
Yeah.
every movie works. Yeah, so BB-8's controlling
Well, that's
an
still
AT-ST,
stupid, but
and he.
I don't disagree with being stupid, but I don't think it's something that ruins a movie because it's
yes, it
every movie would
does.
suck.
We're at the 2-hour mark, guys. Only 22 hours more to go. Didn't you know this is a
I'm
24-hour
gonna miss my flight.
Spoilercast?
Gonna miss my flight.
That's my fight too.
Okay, so no, I'm kidding. But so then BB-8 isn't controlling the AT-ST somehow. I don't know. And then Finn battles Phasma to regain his honor after all the shit that she's said to him. And there's another rebel scum in there somewhere. I wrote it down. And then Phasma dies.
Again.
After we see her human eye.
Yep, she's Brienne.
She's
that.
Brienne.
I know. I like that actress, actually. And then BB-8 helps Finn and Rose escape. And then Kylo lies. And sorry, did you want to talk
Sorry,
about that?
I was just gonna point out the whole AT-ST thing. That was clearly a callback to Return of the Jedi. When Chewie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to point that out.
No, that's fine. And then we're back in the throne room, and Kylo lies and says that Rey killed Snoke when actually he did. So.
Well, maybe Rey did kill Snoke.
No, I don't think
No,
so
no.
because when the
I think it's-
lightsaber goes through Snoke is the exact moment that Kylo grips his hand. So, like, I don't think it's Rey. I really don't think it's Rey.
Yeah, unless Rey made Kylo grip his hand.
No? We're going deeper.
That's no.
Whatever.
No.
Oh yeah, and then
Maybe he gripped his hand trying to stop it because he
Yeah,
saw that
sorry, hold
Rey was
on.
doing it.
So the guards are like, Hux is in the throne room now, and Hux is like standing by the throne where where Snoke's body is, and Snoke's lower half just like flops onto the ground, like off of the throne onto the ground.
Well, it's hard to look magnificent when you're dead.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
that bathrobe was pretty magnificent, but we'll talk about that later. Well, we already did talk about it. Okay, so yeah, Kylo said that Rey killed him, like really mad, like the girl killed him, like, you know, and she escaped through his shuttle. And then
And Hux is just like, what? Say
Yeah.
what, bro?
Yeah.
You just let her leave?
Yeah, that's right. And then they had internal conflict because Kylo was like, "You listen to me now," or something, and then yeah, Hux is like, yeah, Hux is
Can we
like,
talk
"No,
about
this
how
is my army."
useless this guy is? Like Hux. Is he not like the worst bad guy?
He's
of
like
the
a new and
entire-
improved stormtrooper, where instead of not being able to aim, he's unable to do anything.
Hux
Yeah.
has a superiority complex.
I think he's just like some kind of comic relief because he's just
Yeah.
always
he-
stupid.
He's
And you
played as
wonder
a-
like how did he end up being the chief of the bad guys if he's so dumb all the time?
Yeah.
They're just trying to do.
I don't know.
much
There
with
are
this
a
guy.
lot of dumb people in charge of things.
Yeah, well, and that's true, right? I mean,
Like,
it
'cause
happened in the
this could
original.
just be a parody of Trump, for instance.
Ah.
Everyone else does
See?
everything.
We're going deeper.
But
He's
he
basically just space Nazi anyway.
Yeah, that's not very subtle.
Well, right.
No, really
in
not subtle.
in the Force Awakens, when they're on the Death Killer Star or whatever Star Killer
Killer.
base, and like the troops are lining up, and he's like got a microphone, and he's like talking to all of them. That's so like Nazi, like so reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I really think obviously that's what it's modeled after, but yeah, so Rey escapes. And then we cut to the salt planet with the diamond dogs, or crystal critters is what Finn calls them, but I like diamond dogs better. And I liked the dogs. I thought they were cute. So, and I didn't think they were like stupid either. They weren't like the thing that Luke milks or the frog nuns. I thought they were nice.
Well, they're foxes, they're not dogs, but anyway.
I don't fucking care. They're both from the same
Jeez. Same species?
order, kingdom, phylum, family, order, genus, species. I don't know, something like that. Not the same species, but the same genus, maybe, or whatever.
I highly doubt that.
Okay, foxes and dogs. They're not the same species.
No, they're not.
No.
Anyway, we're tangenting way too much. So, the diamond dogs, and on the salt planet. And then I wrote battering ram cannon forehead. Like the emote, the forehead emote. The battering ram cannon. Yes, of course. And then and then they have like trenches, like, you know, like World War I trenches, like dug into the ground. And
Well, they had those on Hoth, so
Yeah, it's just another copy.
right.
but
It was
I mean, we're used to it.
No, so one of the guys, just this random no-name like resistance character, he like puts his finger on the ground and he tastes it and he says, "Pfft, salt." And I wrote that down because I thought it was funny. Pfft, salt. Like why? Like why is I don't know.
Well, because it was red for some reason.
Well, he like he tastes it. He's like,
Well, I don't see the problem with it being red, because like we've got
Salt.
pink salt, right?
did they need to establish that it's salt? I guess they wanted to establish that it's salt.
Well, I think
They
want
want to
That's
establish that it is not
It's not-
snow. That's just
yeah.
that.
I think
Right.
that's
Because it
mainly
has to
that.
be different from Hoth, even if it's exactly the same shit.
Yeah, I
Again.
It's kind of a pattern that I'm gonna steal something from one of my friends said, which is that like this movie did a lot of telling you things rather than showing it. It's like, I mean, they had all these cool visuals that they could have used to like somehow show that, right? That it wasn't snow, but instead it's like, okay, let's put it very much in your face.
I
Yeah,
mean,
true.
the fact that they're not all wearing parkas should be enough, right? Like,
Well, I
don't
feel like
know.
they're just like covering it so people don't complain, saying, "Oh, why aren't they wearing parkas?"
I don't know. It was fine. I just thought it was kind of silly that the guy was like, "Pfft, salt." Like,
Also, Gareth Edwards was in that scene. The guy who made Rogue. He was just beside the guy who tasted the salt.
yeah. Anyway, so then they have this plan to use these like rinky-dink, like falling apart little ships to go after them. I'm not sure like what they were trying to do with them. Like I don't know what they could have done with them. Like they were falling apart. But Rose is a
they were
pilot
just
now.
trying
Did you guys
to-
know that? Rose is a pilot now. She knows how to fly
That
ships.
whole scene just seemed very cartoonish to me.
Also, Finn is also a pilot. Rose and Finn, they're
Well,
both pilots now.
Well, we basically had no one left, so
I know,
yes,
they're
I
like,
understand what they had.
it doesn't matter, you're gonna suicide yourself.
Except they don't.
But wait, they won't do anything. Okay, and then I wrote, Millennium Falcon has arrived with a bunch of exclamation points. And, let's see, Poe says, she drew them off, all of them. And Finn says, oh, they hate that ship. All, like, sassy. I don't know. I thought that was okay. And then I wrote, Hux feels emasculated. Because Kylo Ren, says, like, gives an order. And then Hux, like, repeats the same order. Like, he's like, I need to feel important too. So, and then
Well,
Finn,
I'm guessing that Kylo doesn't have, like a microphone to speak to all the other ATSTs things.
I don't know.
So that's what Hux is doing.
Yeah,
telling
he's
all the
just
other people.
relaying the order. Yeah, to
Yeah, but he definitely feels emasculated. Because
Well, yeah, you've just had your ass
Like,
handed, or
Kylo
not
Ren is,
handed
like,
to,
taking
but like you've
over.
just been told what to do by some bratty,
Adolescent.
almost teenager, right?
Yep. I thought Kylo Ren was like 20, 28, 29.
Yeah, but he still acts like a bratty teenager sometimes.
That's true. Well, so does Luke, but whatever.
Why did you say Luke doesn't?
Okay, so then Finn goes on the suicide mission, and Rose somehow saves him. Like, she's miraculously in a position where she can, like, shove Finn's ship out of the way.
I
Like,
think that
I don't know how she's in a position that she can do that. That's a continuity thing.
I don't care about
Fast.
how. I just why would you do that? I mean,
Yeah, that
I
too. Like, I don't know.
I really thought that Finn was going to die right there.
Well, obviously she has a crush on him, right?
Yeah, but whatever.
Let's
I mean,
just
he was,
sacrifice the resistance for
yeah, he was going to sacrifice himself to destroy the battering ram.
It's the second time
laser
she's
cannon.
done that.
People,
I
please,
think-
it's difficult to find people that you like in a universe full of billions upon billions of people.
Yeah, true.
When you find the one, you found the one. Okay, you can't fight
Have
with
you
love.
found the one? Or...
No, I have not.
Yeah,
Russ
because
said,
she
Russ
said,
said.
we're not fighting what we hate, or it's not fighting what we hate, it's saving what we love. And we'll
Yeah,
just let
but,
that sink
I mean,
in.
In all
her sister at the beginning of the movie just sacrificed herself so they could leave. So why would you do that?
I don't know.
she's just jaded now that she got sold out.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, I feel like, I mean, it didn't matter, right? Like, at that point, if the ram got through, like, there was
Yeah.
nothing behind those walls anyway. So it was like, what are we really fighting here for, right?
Yeah.
I guess
I
it was
mean,
just
like, they
fine.
wouldn't have stood a chance, like, anyway.
I think they just wanted some scene that's different. The opening scene where like 10 or 15 pilots die by
Suiciding
like doing the
themselves.
suicide mission, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the point of the movie is like that they keep failing, and at some point, well, they are so that they have to take care of each other and not play the heroes. But it's as so many other things, it's so badly done that then it doesn't make any sense, and it makes a ridiculous scene.
Yeah, just like everything with Rose, it can be a good idea, but it's just poorly executed.
But yeah, like Viper said, like, why did the bad guys just ignore Rose and Finn when they were right there in front of them?
Yeah.
Like, the AT-AT could have just stomped on them and killed them, but no. Also, yes, I want Lando to come back. That would be cool.
I think you
Anyway,
will.
let's see. Right as everyone is saying that all hope is lost, Luke shows up. Or Force Ghost Luke, which we find out later. And I wrote PogChamp, because he showed up, like, right when they lost hope. So there was, let's see. Did Luke gave Leia Han's dice, which are, like, supposed to be important for some reason? Or, like, a token?
Well,
like,
I
something
think that it's the dice he won the Falcon.
that he what?
He won the Falcon.
Oh.
He gambled it.
Have we seen those before?
We are going to see it in
No,
like
yeah, we're going to see it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in the movies we haven't seen them yet. Got it. It's a book thing. Okay. I need to
Well,
No,
no,
it's-
like we're told how he won the
yeah,
Falcon
we've
from
been
Lando,
told
and it.
Oh,
and
but
I
they
think
they never showed them on screen. Okay.
Well, was that actually a card game? Weren't they playing Sabak, which is
Yeah,
a card game,
right.
not a dice game?
Yeah, I guess.
So
Well, we
they
can-
don't
So
mean anything
dice
at all.
don't make sense.
Maybe
we're
they
getting-
will show them.
we're
In,
getting
it's a
a solo
build up for the
movie, but-
Han Solo movie. Yeah, which I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah, me
God.
neither. It's going to be a train wreck.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't understand how
so
people can have that opinion when you don't know anything about it.
Well,
I
Well,
They
like
just
Harrison
decided
Ford,
that
it's
and I
going to be a
don't
train
want
wreck.
someone who's not Harrison Ford to play Han Solo.
Harrison Ford's a little bit too old to
No,
play
that's
young
what I
Han
mean.
Solo.
Like, I'd rather not have a movie then.
Well, but
Yeah, same.
yeah, that's the one movie I'm not looking to. Like every other movie, I was excited for, but this one I'm like, yeah, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
I'm not excited for any
I don't know.
movie
I
anymore.
think there's a lot of interesting things to his backstory that I would love to see a movie
Okay,
on.
Robo,
That are covered in the
you
books that
watch
aren't
it.
covered anymore.
You watch it
Yeah,
and you
true.
tell us how it is, and
Well,
if you say
I'm not
it's
saying the
good, we're
movie's going to be
not gonna see
amazing
it.
because I don't know anything about it, but I think there's definitely parts of his backstory that warrants being explored.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
backstory isn't always a good thing.
But yeah, I mean, the unfortunate thing
Yeah.
is it's just like one of those origin story movies that they'd love to do in the Marvel universe. And,
Yeah, it's too
we're getting
Marvel.
that here now.
It's way too Marvel. They did the same thing with Wolverine, didn't they? Anyway,
Yep.
so then Luke faces Kylo's fleet or battalion, and Kylo is like, "I want every gun shot at that man," or something like that. And so like they shoot a bazillion rounds at Force Ghost Luke, and he survives, and no one questions it. They're just like they're kind of surprised, but they don't like think, "Oh, why did that happen?" You know, they don't say anything like that out loud. But anyway, so then before they all shot at him, I wrote down AT-ATs behave, or AT-ATs behave like rodeo bulls now, because like one of them like stomps its like hoof like right and it's very reminiscent of like a bull like getting ready to charge. So I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
It's become a little bit cartoonish.
A little bit.
I like the new design.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Okay, so then, yeah, they all shoot at him. And then Finn brings Rose into the base, like on a stretcher, or whatever you want to call it. And then, let's see, Kylo gets out of his ship and goes to face Luke himself, and then they have a duel where the second time I watched it, because I knew he was a Force ghost, I noticed that they never actually touched lightsabers, and Luke just dodged everything because, like, they didn't want to reveal that he was a Force ghost until Luke actually like slashed into him, or sorry, Kylo actually slashed into Luke.
Mhm.
So that was something interesting that I picked up.
You know
Yeah,
what
and
that
so
reminds me of, have you guys seen A Beautiful Mind?
no,
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
spoil it?
yeah.
So there's this one scene where the little girl runs through a bunch of pigeons, and the pigeons don't take off. It kind of reminds me of that
Oh yeah,
because
absolute
she's
bread.
not
Mm.
real.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, absolute bread. I actually wrote down. Wait, how does Luke have a lightsaber at the end if Rey took it?
Well, especially if
And
his lightsaber is
but
blue.
it's a Force
'cause-
lightsaber because he doesn't have a lightsaber in real life. And so why didn't Kylo question why Luke has the lightsaber that him and Rey just broke? Huh?
Well, I guess he was too mad
It's
or
to
too
overcome with emotions. I know,
too
but
Well,
obsessed. with
Luke
guilt.
knows how to make lightsabers, right? Since he made his own one.
He made
So
the
you could just assume that he went and
has
made
the
a new one.
materials. Aren't the like crystals in the lightsaber super rare and hard to?
No, but
Get
you
that.
can find them.
anymore.
Okay, well,
Well, it is a Jedi island. Maybe they have some extra stock.
Yeah, maybe.
true.
Yeah, I think he was just mad and not looking at the things more clearly.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
because you can see Luke doesn't leave any trail when he walks on the salt.
Oh, I didn't know.
Kylo
I didn't
Ren's
pick up on
leave.
that actually, but that's good.
Yeah, there's a couple of shots where you can clearly see there's no marks where he walked.
Yeah,
Well,
I
Kylo Ren
didn't
leaves
Yeah.
think to
a trail.
notice
So
that.
the
but
red salt. I
that's
take
good.
back what I said about the red salt. It makes a lot more sense now.
I like the red salt. I thought it looked cool, or whatever that was. Like it was
yeah,
salt on
it
the
just
top,
looks a bit too much like
and then crystal.
The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, so they battle, and then Kylo figures out that Luke's a Force ghost, and Luke then dies of exhaustion, and both Leia and Rey like feel him die.
To be honest, I know that feeling.
Are you being serious?
Yeah. I die of exhaustion all the time.
Oh, I thought you meant like feeling someone else die. Like if you.
Oh.
I'm like, I didn't know you had that power.
Wow.
ability. But
Maybe.
no,
Do
you
we-
don't
do we wanna
you
test
don't
this theory
literally
somehow?
die of exhaustion, but okay. And then so they figure out that they can escape because Luke is being the distraction, and then they're like, oh, where are the crystal critters running to? We'll just escape out that way. And then there are a bunch of rocks there, and Rey's there with the Millennium Falcon, and she uses her Force powers to lift all the rocks and free them. And they are escaping. And yeah, it's right as they're about to leave that Luke dies, and they feel it. Leia and Rey. They feel him die, and then they get in the Millennium Falcon, and everyone leaves. And then Poe and Rey meet for the first time. He's like, I'm Poe. She's like, Rey, nice to meet you. So that's a nice little bit of them actually meeting, because like you forget that they hadn't actually met in the first movie, and then you're like, oh, okay, they're actually meeting.
Who hadn't met?
Huh?
Who hadn't met?
Poe and Rey. Because
Ah.
he like in a coma or something?
Well, he was fighting all the time, I think, and she
Yeah.
was on the ground.
Yeah.
She jetted off to Luke Skywalker's island before he like was back at their base
They
at
have
the end of
very
the Force
busy
Awakens.
schedules.
Okay, and then there was a moment with Finn and Rose. Did they kiss after she saved him, or?
Yeah, just after she saved him.
Yeah, that's right. And then he's like tucking her in, and on the Millennium Falcon, and Rey looks over. I can't tell if she had a look of jealousy in her eye though, or if it was just genuine happiness. And then, at the very end, the Monaco kids have hope. Rey is a nobody, which means anyone can be a Jedi regardless of lineage. Ha! And then roll the outro, the end credits. So, what did you guys think of that, by the way, showing the Monaco kids at the end?
Useless.
Yeah,
Annoying.
that wasn't so much annoying. It was just like, yeah, there was probably a better way to end them.
Probably, but
Yeah.
I think it like summed up the theme of like anyone can be a Jedi, like because those kids
It's-
are nobodies, you know.
It's the American dream. Anyone can be a Jedi.
I mean, I get it. Like, I don't totally hate it. It's like I said before. I felt like they were trying to do too much with this movie. If they wanted to do that, make that the main point, they should have
Yeah.
built that up more. It shouldn't have
There
been
were
just
too
that little
many
side
points.
quest,
Yeah.
right?
But I
Yeah,
did
true.
feel like they built that up quite a bit. Like Rey always searching for like where she comes from in terms of like parentage and stuff. And then like she finds out she's a nobody. And Kylo Ren is like, you are a nobody, but not to me. We can rule together, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's just tricky though because it's like okay, you're literally the what's left of the resistance is on the Millennium Falcon, and then it's like 3 kids.
Someone tell
And
Nancy
that's
he
it.
left the oven on. Is that your roommate, Mike?
No,
Crazy Bunna?
I left the oven on. Not
Gotta go
really sure
check
what
it.
that's a reference to.
Do you know that person?
He's
Maybe you
he's
left
subbed to
something in
me,
the oven?
so yeah. But not in real life.
Oh, I see. Okay, well. So, I guess I already got your overall thoughts at the start. Maybe we should have saved that for the end. But how about you guys repeat your overall thoughts for the people who just joined us now? Or not?
Are we going in order?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I assumed we were doing the order thing again.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I thought I might change my mind a little bit, but I don't know that I changed my mind that much.
From this
So I'll just
discussion.
repeat what I said. Like I thought the overall like direction that the story went was good. Like it started and well, I didn't like the start, but I liked it where it ended. I liked the whole like Kylo Ren, Luke, Rey thing. Like all of that, I thought in general worked. It's just that just the way a lot of the individual scenes were shot, or the way that the dialogue was written, there were things that were just kind of cringeworthy, or like I had to suspend disbelief. And I think I went into the movie without high enough expectations to care too much about those. So overall, I still enjoyed the movie. It was like, I mean, it was it was beautifully shot. It was fun, but as like you can't compare it to like the original trilogy or anything, right? It's its own thing, and some things worked and a lot of things didn't.
Yep. Sounds good. Robo?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot
Has your
the other
mind
guy left.
changed at all?
I'm not particularly. Like, I always had issues with certain scenes, and most people seem to have issues as well, so that's not really a problem. And yeah, overall, I thought it was a decent movie, just not as Star Warsy as it could have been.
Okay. I'll say that I don't think it was a great movie, and there's a lot that I wish they would have done differently. And I just did not like Luke's character at all. I don't like the direction that they went in. I feel like there was some butting of the heads between the directors. The last director had a different vision than this director, and they just did not line up at all. I think there's just like a lot of conflict with that, and I don't know. I enjoyed watching it for what it was. Like if you remove the Star Wars part of it and you're like, oh, this is just a movie, then it's okay. But I think it just did not follow the characters well. And I wish, like, the whole movie is focused on this space battle, and also Rey's thing, but like, or like on Luke Skywalker Island. But I like going to all the planets in Star Wars movies. Like, I think that's part of the fun of it, is like seeing all the different planets and like all that stuff. And like the fact that we only saw 3 different planets in this movie kind of bummed me out. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I
We
wish there
also
could have
call
been
it the
4.
space battle a lot of times, but I don't know if we can count them how many
It's
times
not-
there were shots actually
Right.
fired.
I guess it's not a battle. It's like a chase.
Yeah.
Space
Yeah.
battle
Well-
slash space.
It's a
Race.
space chase with a couple
It's a
of battles
space race
on the
chase.
way, but
Jesus, too many words.
In the original trilogy, you don't see that many planets either. Like in Empire Strikes Back, you see like Hoth, Dagobah, and Bespin.
I was
and
gonna
that's
say
pretty
they're
much it.
probably, but
Asteroids.
they're on the planets more, right? Like
Yeah,
they're
true.
not in space for like half of the movie.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was like Air Force One where they were just on the plane the whole movie.
It's boring. Like, we've already seen space a bajillion times, and we've already seen the inside of your cruiser a billion times. Like, give us something more interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, those are my thoughts. Go ahead, Tarsus.
Yeah, well, I liked a few scenes. I liked the part with Rey and Kylo. I liked how the characters developed, even if a few things were kind of badly done. And I really did not enjoy any of the rest. I felt it's always like the same thing. If you take The Empire Strikes Back, it's a chase in the first part of the movie. Here it's a chase during all the movie, except that the end and the beginning are reversed. Like they start on the ice planet in the first movie, and now they finish on the ice planet, even if it's not ice. So I felt like it's also lacking the Star Wars spirit. And I'm not going to the cinema to watch any Marvel thing. I mean, there's already hundreds of Marvel every year. I'm interested in that thing. So the fact that the Star Wars spirit is lacking is really not. It's really damaging the movie, I think. And yeah, and one last thing is that something I think we have discussed it, like when we're talking about all the scenes. There is a lot of ideas that are not so bad, but the execution is very poor all the way.
Yeah.
So overall, I dislike the movie, and I'm not going to see the next one, or I'm not looking
You're not
forward
gonna
to.
join us on the next Star Wars spoiler cast?
Yeah, maybe because I like giving money to Disney and stuff like that. But
All right.
well, I really like the movie. I still have some issues with some decisions they made and the executions and the pacing. But I like that it tried new things and it developed the characters in interesting ways. So overall, I really like it. It's just not a perfect movie by any stretch, but I can't complain too much. I mean, there's stuff that I don't agree with, but that's not too much of a problem to me.
All right. And lastly, Z Robo.
I thought the movie was pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Okay. Is there anything you guys think we missed in our discussions? Anything you'd want to talk about? Guess not. Well, I googled it. The movie is 2 hours and 35 minutes long, so our
Whoa.
discussion of the movie is almost as long as the movie itself. So I kind of wanted to keep going a couple more minutes just because of that.
Just to be longer than the movie.
You missed the
You
part where
could do,
Snoke
like, a little
references
wrap-up.
the Bible, or we could take some questions.
Let's take
when
questions
did
from the
Snoke
chat.
reference the Bible? What did he say?
He's got time travel.
Yeah, let's see if the chat has any topics that they want us to cover.
TV.
I'm
gonna
gonna put this on YouTube, Timonius. Probably tonight. I'll try to get it up so you can watch that later. I don't really want to repeat things too much. So what is everyone doing next weekend?
Another podcast.
Yeah, well, we've got all the people, right?
We should
Well
have done
done,
it
my
next
good and
weekend.
faithful
live.
apprentice. Are you talking about faithful? Is faithful?
Yeah,
a
we totally should have
reference?
done it next weekend.
to the
That would have been so much
Bible?
better.
Yeah, true.
Thoughts on
Let's do
Luke
it
Smarthy,
again.
why didn't you
brushing
think
his
of this?
shoulder? Oh, doing that?
You couldn't have had pictures.
I thought it was just kind of like.
He was only here for like 20 minutes and then he left.
Yeah, and then he left.
So-
I thought that was kind of nice. I thought it was like him being a little sassy in a good way. He was sassy in a good way. Do you feel that the Rose character was a bit too forced in? Oh yeah, we didn't really talk about.
Well,
I guess we talked about her, but like not as a whole a lot. Rose, I feel like was a plot device. Her only purpose was just to. I don't know. I don't know.
Increase
I-
the diversity quotient.
I don't dislike. I don't dislike the character. I just
Of
don't like
course,
what she had to do. Just everything she did didn't make any sense, or was
ice
just like
cream.
not interesting.
Oh my god.
So actually, that was the point I was making earlier about anyone can be your hero. I thought like it was sort of like let's introduce a new character who can also be cool and do things, and then it just seems like we're getting all these new characters. It's hard to like relate to in the time that we have with them.
Why was Luke's robot hand metallic instead of proper fake skin? He probably
Hi.
just didn't feel like maintaining it over the years, and he was like, alright, metal, we'll have to do. Like, I imagine that fake skin is hard to maintain. And he was just like, fuck it. I'm living on an island now.
Yeah, I guess
Well-
the lizard people couldn't fix it.
Well, do you remember how
Or
they
the
did it
frog
in
nuns.
at the end of episode 5?
It was a little door.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, so there was like a robotic thing doing it for him, right?
I
Repairing
So
it?
there weren't many robots on his island.
Yeah, droids don't exist anymore.
Why did his metal hand disappear into the force with him? Because it was
Yeah, that's a
part
good
of him.
question.
Because it's part of
Actually,
it,
a really
yeah.
good one.
Alone
Wait, that
on
means
an
he
island.
might
Except
not
not
be
alone
dead.
because he was with the frog nuns who did everything for
But
him.
he was already a projection. Like he's not dead actually.
Maybe
It was
he's
a
what, double
projection of a
projecting?
projection.
Oh.
Yes,
We're
Double
going
projection.
Inception levels, are we?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe he was actually never with Rey. That he was a projection for the whole movie.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
deep.
Only in her mind.
So the one thing that's kind of interesting is that Luke interrupts Rey and Kylo's Force conversation. The first one, I think he interrupts it, and
The last one. I
and
think.
he no listen. He interrupts the first one and he doesn't see Kylo at all. He doesn't know what's going on. And then what the last one when Rey and Kylo touch hands, then Luke sees Kylo.
I think it's
how
because
does he not see him the first time and then he sees him in the last Force conversation?
that's what Ray says when she's reaching out. She doesn't feel Luke because he's closed himself from the Force, so he can't see the Force.
Good
but by-
point.
Maybe
the
that's why
end-
she couldn't feel him, because he
Good
wasn't there.
point.
Yeah. Oh,
I like this. I like this.
Good point.
there's
The sad thing
there's
is,
theory
This
material.
might
Yeah.
actually happen in 9.
What happened in 9?
I mean, given this pattern of throwing away what the last director did, like that could just happen.
What could happen?
That it's just a production.
Oh, that would.
I actually
God.
wouldn't be surprised.
Can we talk about how Padme didn't really die in episode 3 because Leia talks about how she remembers her mother? Oh, that's right! In
Yeah,
the
that's a
original
continuity problem.
Yeah, that's just like
Padme's drinking mojitos on the CIA's secret island with Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, and Michael Jackson. Of course. The best part was the trailer for the Miles Morales Spider-Man movie before the movie. I got different trailers, so I actually wrote them down. I got, my previews were for Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Alita, Battle Angel, A Wrinkle in Time, and the Marvel Avengers movie. So they're really trying to market to the Marvel people here.
Big surprise.
Do you guys remember the previews that you got?
I don't.
I got, I think, all of those.
I watched them all online, so
I remember being very scared about my picture of A Wrinkle in Time being ruined by the movie version.
Tomb Raider,
Yeah.
Wrinkle Avengers.
Yep,
You
that's
forgot
absolutely
Alita,
what
Battle
yeah.
Angel, which looks horrible, but
Yeah.
is that Game On? Is that what it's called?
it's called...
Ready Player One was the other
Ready-
Yeah,
one.
that's the one.
Ready Player
Yeah, I'm glad somebody's able to work out what I was saying.
It's getting good reviews, I think, or something. I'm hearing
I
good
don't know,
things about it.
It looks kind of cool.
What
I
is?
got the book for Christmas. I guess I have to read it now.
If you don't want it, you can always give it to me.
What? What? Oh, Ready Player One? What is that? It's a
Uh,
movie.
Movie and a
Never heard
book.
of it.
Yeah, it's
Apparently.
a movie, then a movie,
Maybe I'll look
apparently.
it up. But okay, I think that's probably it since we're diverging into other movies now. I'll put this VOD on YouTube and so everyone can read it or watch it. What the fuck? I'm hungry.
Are you going to transcribe the podcast as well so
Oh,
people can
that's
read
a
it?
lot of work.
Oh.
I'm not gonna do
Next
that.
level production quality. This
Well,
is
look at
how
that.
we know this is the
If you
stream
get-
to be at.
Once
I'm
You
you
go that
I'm
extra
not
distance
gonna,
for
nope,
the hearing
I'm not gonna
impaired.
do that. I'm not gonna do that. But
Maybe
we,
Robo can do it for $4 an hour.
Oh, okay, Robo. Talk to me. We've been going officially for longer than the movie, though. So,
I'm not sure if that's a good thing though.
Yeah, I don't think so.
well, anyway. Wait, did we talk? We did talk about, or I talked about that a little bit. The water suit that Finn was wearing. So, anyway, do you guys want to say goodbyes? Your final goodbyes? Let's go in order. Mike.
Bye.
Bye. Well, thanks for having us on. That was fun.
Was
You should
fun.
do more podcasts, though.
Maybe more movie reviews. Robo.
See you later, guys. It was fun.
All right. And I'm Smarthy, and I'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Tarsus.
Bye.
Okay.
I'm already sleeping now. It's already fucking 1 a.m.
I know,
It's
it's
almost
amazing that we
sleeping a
got
long
people from
time.
like completely different time zones. Like me and Mike are in the US, Robo's in Australia.
See, it would be so much easier to just do it next week.
Then we got Europe.
Yeah,
Well, let's be
exactly.
coming on AOC time.
But
I mean,
okay.
Viper's got a head start on us.
I will I'll see you all next time, and thanks for watching. Bye.